identification and consultation. Members of Parliament and other relevant leaders should be given adequate information for oversight. Political leaders should not be enlisted to only be involved at the assessment of the program, but rather to be involved in the whole process. We also recommend adequate financial resources for the supervision by the District Commercial Department. Lastly, we observed that there were safeguards put in place to ensure that funds disbursed are paid back. Some of the safeguards include mandatory 30% savings by each association, payment of registration fee by members, payment of 150,000 shillings by each association, follow-up by commercial officers and other government workers, but the safeguards were inadequate. One of the reasons why is that the SACCO is a separate legal entity, largely independent from any interference from government work. So we recommend continuous strengthening of these SACCOs. Instead of strengthening the RDCs and the commercial officers, we recommend continuous strengthening of the SACCOs to improve management and governance structures. In conclusion, Madam Speaker, the report underscores the importance of wealth and job creation through the Myoga program. The initiative is geared towards sustainable socio-economic transformation, and if well structured, is capable of improving the access of funding and capital in the citizenry. Right Honorable Deputy Speaker and honorable members, it is the agreed position of the Kigezi Sub-Region team that the Myoga program be supported with more funding, ensure proper sensitization, and requisite modifications to achieve the intended objectives. This initiative has potential to create wealth and improve household incomes of Ugandans if the challenges are addressed and realignment done. Madam Speaker, I beg to move.
Thank you very much, Kigezi. Thank you.
Luero Sub-Region.
Luero. West Nile. Buganda. You have Buganda? Okay, can you present Buganda? I'll wait for Buganda to finish.
Great Honorable Speaker, may I take the opportunity to invite Honorable Amos to present on our behalf.
Enos. Members, try to summarize. Remember, we have Prime Minister's time at 4. Honorable Enos.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So we have to Madam Speaker, I beg to lay a copy of the report on the table.
Please.
I'm here to represent the team from Buganda region, though my colleague here thinks I'm not a Muganda, but I come from Buganda. Madam Speaker, considering that most of our colleagues have already talked about the background of the program and the objectives of the oversight role you had entrusted us.
Members, just interruption. I urge all of you to keep your masks on. If you're not comfortable with the mask, go and watch on Zoom. Unless if Atkins was here, I would grant him permission when he's speaking. Please.
Thank you. Madam Speaker, considering that most of our colleagues from other sub-regions have given the background of the program, the objectives of why you sent us, I want to restrict myself to the findings of the teams from Buganda region. When I mentioned Buganda region, we agreed as the entire region, all sub-regions, Masaka, Greater Luero, Greater Mukono, Kampala, including where my colleague comes from, and we made a summary. This is what I'm going to give. Of course, there are so many observations that we found, but we want to restrict ourselves to the generic findings in the different sub-regions. That's what I wanted to read out. The findings, we wanted to start with the disbursement of funds. It was established that in each constituency funds were disbursed to all the targeted 18 circles. This was verified based on the lists that were circulated to members of parliament by Microfinance Support Center and based on the bank statements that we picked from the CDOs and the circle leadership of these circles. So we confirmed that all the regions had at least gotten money from Microfinance Support Center. Then we also checked out on the safeguards. Some commercial officers have put up safeguard measures which could prove helpful in the fight against fraud and misuse of the seed capital. For example, the commercial officer for Kawempe demands that SACCOs provide accountability for every 10 million of the withdrawn seed capital. Elsewhere in Zimbabwe, SACCOs put in place terms and conditions regulating loan disbursements where a member is only allowed to borrow 3 times their savings. This same requirement was a general requirement from Microfinance Support Center and the regulatory agency. They had requested that for one to borrow, you must have saved at least 3 times of what you intended to borrow. In Wakiso, associations were required to hold weekly meetings at ward level, and this would help to review the loans disbursed and their performances. We also looked at the identification and establishment of SACCOs. It was established that the Myoga program, the Myoga program identified the most of the program was, it was established that the Myoga were identified by cabinet with the help of other DCs, the chief administrative officers, the district commercial officers, and they were all directed to mobilize the communities along those enterprises identified, train them in the group dynamics and policy framework information of these circles and parish associations. This was done though not effectively. Several would-be intended beneficiaries were left out. Sensitization wasn't enough to the point that some communities mistook the fund to be a political handout. We also looked at the existence of circles and parish groups. Members obtained a detailed list of the various circles that benefit from the fund or benefited from the fund from Microfinance Support Center, and confirmed that their existence through the physical meetings with the circle executives and also through the bank statements that were provided by the district commercial officers and the circle leadership. However, due to limited time provided for this assignment, it was difficult to ascertain the existence and membership of the various lists of associations that the RDCs and the DCOs provided. Most districts which were visited, we managed to get in touch with the district leadership, the task forces at the district, and the circle, what we call the apex circles at the constituency levels. But we never got enough time to go down and check on the parish associations at the parish level. So we believe that if we had gotten enough time, possibly we would have gotten to that point. We also checked on the existence of accountability measures. Members observed that the circle members could only meet at the annual general meeting to interrogate the running of their business and management of their accounts, and to raise complaints or even to settle disputes. It is not well stipulated on how a member of a group or a group of members could do such interrogation before the annual general meeting. This same issue, for example, in Mawokota, we observed that most circles had not disbursed money to associations because they were still waiting for annual general meetings. So some members were restricted because of that. It was also observed that since accounts became operational, members of the circles have limited powers over the executive's decision-making process. This is fueled by the corrupt tendencies, the poor management skill of the leaders, and the COVID-19 pandemic, where people's movements were limited. Because of the limitations in travel during the lockdown, some activities of these circles were being carried out by only the executive members, that is the chairman, the treasurers, and the secretaries. So the other members of the circles were not in the know of what these people were doing. That was also another observation. Furthermore, the SACCO leaders had limitations on capacity to mobilize their members, to save, or even to assess the viability of their members' businesses before they could apply or even receive loans, let alone to pay up their loans. In the circumstances, the majority of the SACCO's accounts were drained after lending only to a few of their members, leaving almost the entire SACCO membership with no access to finances at all, even after remitting savings. Madam Speaker, we also looked at the extortions before funds were disbursed to their accounts. In most of the districts from Uganda region, we observed that the issue of extortion did not arise. However, extortion is still under investigation for some association members who accessed finances from the SACCO managers. Being that we only interacted with Apex SACCOs, we are not able to assess whether there was extortion beyond the constituency level. So that's why in some districts, investigations were left to be taken on by the district task forces on whether some extortions were being done, mostly at the parish level. We also looked at the training and sensitization. Most honorable members observed that besides the Apex SACCO executive, most members, including the parish associations, lacked a clear understanding of the program, mostly on the intended outcomes, operations, monitoring, and evaluation of the parish associations. There was also limited sensitization to the general public about the Myoga program, its requirements, processes, group formations, assessment criteria. This brought several people who speak about the Myoga program, mostly on radio stations, to have insufficient knowledge about what the program is about. Though the Microfinance Support Center insists that they did training, but most districts, most honorable members observed in their districts that this was not done effectively. It was also noted that there was inadequate training of beneficiaries. Continuous trainings were expected to be undertaken by the district commercial officer, but due to limited resources for the commercial officer, not much has been done, or it was observed that not much has been done. This was attributed to the overwhelming number of SACCOs and associations in the constituency that could not be serviced by the existing structure and budget allocation. According to Microfinance Support Center, they tasked the district commercial officers to follow up, do the monitoring, evaluation, and of this program, but they never made a budget for that. They only assumed that the existing structure. They only expected existing structures to support that program. We also looked at the profiling of beneficiaries. Registration of beneficiaries was undertaken hurriedly without profiling potential beneficiaries. Emphasis was largely placed on presentation of certificates of registration. Consequently, we have chronic defaulters from other revolving funds, for instance, for women and youth, which were enrolled earlier before this program. Furthermore, there was inadequate verification of these enterprises. More still, verification of membership, qualification of members was overlooked. Some were found not to be involved or employed in the enterprise for which they were registered. An example, I think, is in Karangara, where you would find somebody is a carpenter, but is in a circle of fishermen. So there was also that inadequacy. The failure to profile members violates Section 55AC of the Cooperative Society Amendment Act of 2000, and that requires SACCOs to undertake credit checks on persons applying for credit. We also looked at the savings requirements. While most beneficiaries were required to present status of their savings as a precondition of accessing funds, some of the members of the parishes borrowed funds from money lenders and presented them as their savings. Once the funds were disbursed to these accounts, they would immediately go and withdraw that money without paying back, and they ran to pay the money lenders. This reduced the amount available for onward lending. This alone violated Section 55AI of the Cooperative Societies Amendment Act of 2020 that requires Apex SACCOs to maintain a deposit of not less than 20% of their total savings and deposits. This was not helped by the fact that there were no set controls on funds withdrawals from the banks. This was attributed to the fact that there was no authority permitting technical staff to regulate bank withdrawals. Nevertheless, it was observed that SACCOs and associations that were formed before the establishment of EMIOGA, SACCOs and associations had more savings. Those that were existing before the program had more savings than those that were formed later, especially in areas of Kampala and Wakiso. We also observed, Madam Honorable Speaker, Right Honorable Speaker, we observed on the issue of administrative costs. The structuring of the EMIOGA overlooked the impact of administrative costs of SACCOs, which I had mentioned earlier, on the amount of money available for onward lending to the associations. The SACCOs and associations charge their members costs regarding to bank charges, verification, and transport, among other issues. This is in line in the Cooperative Societies Amendment Act of 2020. It empowers SACCOs to run their own activities, charge their own fees, so there is no limitation or there is no hand by the regulator on what charges they should meet on their cost. But the major issue or worrying issue or trend was in Nakaseke district, where they were charging associations between 1.5 million to 2 million to cover administrative costs like setting up offices. In our observation, as much as the law allows them, but some areas they were doing way out of range, making the capital, the seed capital, lower than less than what was expected to have gone to the last user. Madam Speaker, we also looked at the monitoring of this program. The overall monitoring of the EMIOGA was assigned to the resident district commissioners, the district commercial officers. This was mainly attributed to the initiating the EMIOGA during the campaign period for the recently concluded general elections. Besides the RDCs and the DCOs, besides, the RDCs and the DCOs are not funded to effectively monitor, evaluate, and audit all beneficiaries and disbursements of these funds. Specifically, the district commercial officers and the parish commercial officers lack motorcycles, vehicles to supervise the initiative within their areas of jurisdiction. Additionally, due to the geographical challenges of hard-to-reach areas such as Karangara, it was hard to monitor the beneficiaries of EMIOGA residing on different islands. The cost of financing. Microfinance Support Center lent out the EMIOGA, disbursed the EMIOGA funds on the assumption that the interest rate will be retained at 8%. This was far cheaper than the prevailing lending market rates that range between 17 and 20% in the commercial market. However, the mandate of lending to the parish association members remains with the parish association management, which in some cases they were lending between 10 and 15, in effect making it costly than the principal policy expectations or target of availing cheap money to these enterprises and individuals. Advisory areas, as earlier noted, the district commercial officers were expected to advise the EMIOGA beneficiaries. However, they were overwhelmed by the number of beneficiaries. This was not also helped by the only 54 microfinance support center advisors that were expected to offer advice to all these thousands of SACCOs and associations distributed across the 146 districts of Uganda. We also, Madam Speaker, we also observed the pandemic, COVID-19 pandemic. It affected the level of businesses of the targeted enterprises. Majority were not allowed to operate during the lockdown. This adversely affected the investment of EMIOGA funds and their repayments that were expected within the 4 months. This repayment period was found to be too short given the battering of the economy by COVID. The short period was not favorable for beneficiaries, particularly produce leaders who must rely on seasons of farming. There was also an issue we observed, Madam Speaker, of uniform allocations. Each SACCO, irrespective of the number of members, was expected to access a standard of 30 million, except the leaders' SACCO that accessed 50 million. This criteria was not responsive to the level of membership. For those with less members accessed the same amount of funds as those with maximum membership. This in effect meant that those with maximum membership had less funds to distribute amongst members as compared to those with less membership. The membership was required to be 7 to 30 members, but you will find that some SACCOs had less than 7 or even had less than 10. But others with a maximum membership of 30, you would find that they would have little money to access. We also looked at the record keeping, Madam Speaker. Almost every beneficiary SACCO and association had their records and books of accounts in order at the time of registration. However, it was observed that little attention was placed on ascertaining whether SACCOs and associations had held annual general meetings to appoint their representatives. Furthermore, after accessing the funds, there was a gradual decline in money and maintaining operational structures and record keeping. This was not helped by the fact that not all members were able to obtain free individual passbooks. This compromised accountability and monitoring of the utilization of the program funds. We also looked at membership, which I had already mentioned. Some associations did not meet the criteria of the required membership of the 7 members. For example, in the Bukoto West constituency, some associations with less than 7 people or members were able to access funds regardless of the guidelines. There was also an observation, Madam Speaker, of loose guidelines. The Emyoga program were operating under draft guidelines. These are not binding. This is in consistency with Section 55A Section 4 of the Cooperative Society Act, Amendment Act of 2020, that requires any program of government that extends loans to cooperatives to have a law that provides for the existence and operations of such a program. Lastly, Madam Speaker, under our findings, there was a lot of politics. The initiative was marred with political undertones, since it was mostly promoted during campaigns of general elections. Hence, it was marred with political patronization, and beneficiaries had a misconception that the funds were a gift from the president for onward sharing. Those were our findings, Madam Speaker, but that were generic. But we also have specific observations from the various districts that could not match the generic observations. For example, in Mpigi district, Madam Speaker, the area MP for Mawokota South noted that out of 17 that had received CB capital, only 2 had loaned out to the parish associations. Guidelines to access these funds had not been met out. Thank you. Madam Speaker, in Mubende district, some SACCOs were charging high interest rates compared to the recommended rate. This fails the purpose of cheap money to the local poor. In Bukoto West, that one I had already mentioned, some enterprises do not exist, say fishing and welders, and yet money was disbursed by Microfinance Support Center. The MP was to advise on the action plan as at the time of this report. In Karanga, Madam Speaker, some beneficiaries could not be categorized in more than one enterprise. For instance, there was a cross-membership in restaurants and market vendor enterprises, hence they were not able to access funds. They were able to access funds for more than one SACCO. You would find somebody is in market vendors enterprises, is in carpentry, is in different, he was benefiting from different SACCOs. The Boda, though we also have success stories, Madam Speaker, in Karanga district, the Boda SACCO was identified as the most successful story in the region. They confirmed to have bought 9 Bodas out of their savings and borrowed funds, and they were making remittances on a regular basis. It was one of the success stories that we observed in the region. We also had another success story in Gomba East Women Enterprises, Emyoga SACCO. They received 30 million, which was loaned to 64 association members. These have been able to, within 2 months, to save another 23.3 million out of the 30 that had been received. meaning that we also observed in that district the guidelines were followed and sensitization on usage was effectively done. It is one of the many success stories. In Buyamba district, Buyamba constituency in Rakai, there was an issue of blocking funds by Microfinance Support Center. 50 million that was disbursed to SACCO leaders, the leaders' SACCO was blocked and later remitted back to Microfinance Support Center under unclear circumstances. It has never been returned to the account. In Wakiso, some SACCOs had not received disbursements due to delays by the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Cooperatives in issuing certificates of registration for cooperatives. In Kampala, Madam Speaker, we have issues of some SACCO accounts in Nakawa divisions which were frozen due to disbursement of excess funds. Dormant members were not allowed to access funds. New members were barred from joining SACCOs on the assertion that they had declined being members before this disbursement of funds, of Emyoga funds. There was also a delay in issuing certificates of registration for cooperatives by Ministry of Trade. That was also appearing there. Chiboga district, we had an observation of funds amounting to 1.3 billion were deposited on SACCO accounts in December 2020 before their legal existence, meaning that Microfinance Support Center released the money even before SACCOs were formed. It was a very big inconsistency. Registration took place in February. Formalization of documentation and minutes for the SACCOs to be formed was done in March and May 2021. That was a challenge. Madam Speaker, we also observed a few areas of strength for this particular program. Before we go for our recommendations, we noted that interest earned on loans goes to the associations and not external service providers. This increases the amount of investment capital available to the communities. It's savings, number two, the program is a savings-based, which means that people work with their assets and not with loan liabilities. This increases their livelihood security and reduces their exposure to risks. Madam Speaker, we also observed the strength of the program. Transactions are quick, simple, and transparent. We also observed that it eases information sharing and instills financial discipline. As these members are required to meet regularly, they tend to share information, they tend to share their experiences in the different myogas, and this has helped them as communities. We also observe the strength of this program that it promotes a savings culture within our communities. Originally, most of our members were not so good at savings, but since the myoga program, there's a serious trend, positive trend, in terms of savings culture from within our communities. We also observed that direct disbursement of funds to the intended beneficiaries without the involvement of third parties minimizes misappropriation and misallocation of by the implementing agencies. Those are some of the strong points about this program, Madam Speaker. I now come to the recommendations from the region, Buganda region. Madam Speaker, the Myoga program should be changed. This is a recommendation. The Myoga program should be changed from targeting individual investments to collective investment by members. This will be more impactful in the short and long term, as envisaged in Karangara, where Boda Boda SACCO members opted to buy Boda Bodas for the entire SACCO instead of sharing or loaning out to individuals. So to us, we think, as members of Buganda region, that this program should emphasize collective investments. Even somewhere in Kampala, where I did not pick something because it came late, some SACCOs were buying minibuses, or we call them taxis, and the earnings from those taxis would be taken as savings of the associations. So we actually recommend that Microfinance Support Center or the regulatory agency should insist on collective investments by members. We also recommend that, Madam Speaker, that the Minister fast-tracks the formation of the cooperative bank as well as the Credit Reference Bureau as required under Section 19 and Section 55AB of the Cooperative Societies Amendment Act of 2020. We believe that right now, all the savings that are being collected from these member associations, if we can have one bank that is taking care of them, I think government would benefit, And even the small associations in those villages would benefit more, because we observe that our commercial banks are charging rates that we believe are higher than our targeted rates for the association. So we recommend that the Minister fast-tracks cooperative bank formation. We also recommend, Madam Speaker, the operational guidelines of EMIOGA should be replaced by a law or a gazetted statutory instrument to give them a force of law. This will be in line with Section 55A04 of the Cooperative Societies Amendment Act of 2020 that requires any program of government that extends loans to cooperatives to be governed by a law that will provide for the existence and operation of such programs. Madam Speaker, we also recommend that the documents concerning the EMIOGA should be translated into local languages to enable targeted beneficiaries to understand the initiative and its conditions better. We also recommend, Madam Speaker, that government should largely utilize the local council and other structures at the sub-county level and other levels as the centers of these programs. The structures are better placed to organize and monitor the program, because most of the operations were at the district level. So our recommendation as a group, or as a working group, we request that the agency pushes it more to the lower levels. We also recommend, Madam Speaker, that all beneficiaries should adequately be sensitized and trained before they access the EMIOGA funds. This will help communities appreciate circle formation, operations like saving, loan repayment, business mindset, and commercial production. We also observed, as much as Microfinance Support Center did training, we observed that it never reached to the last user, and that is the parish association members, and that left a big gap. Madam Speaker, we also recommend that there's a need to understudy the minimum seed capital being proposed to all the formed circles, depending on which activity is being covered by different recipients. It is also emphasized different circles will require different seed capital levels, depending on what activity is being addressed. Hence, a review mechanism of the seed capital should be carried out and a properly customized plan be rolled out according to the enterprises. Madam Speaker, we also recommend a grace period of 4 months should be put in place to allow the beneficiaries to invest the loan and later repay the accumulated profits. Because according to the guidelines that we all observed, members were given 4 months to have started paying back. But in reality, we thought that this is too short to allow any enterprise to make any sensible business. So we recommend that they should be given 4 months before they start paying back. We also recommend strengthening the monitoring and evaluation mechanism through granting district commercial officers more powers and authority. We also recommend, Madam Speaker, we integrate databases of ongoing revolving funds into one database that is utilized by Microfinance Support Center to weed out chronic defaulters. Madam Speaker, we observed that you would find that people who had actually defaulted on youth funds, who defaulted under women funds, were the same people, or they are the same circles that wanted to benefit under the EMIOGA. So we recommend that we should have a database as per the Cooperatives Act. We have a credit rating for this so that we get out of this, we weed out the chronic defaulters. We also recommend to minimize on misuse of funds. Microfinance Regulatory Authority should, in shortest time possible, which is what I just said, roll out the credit rating of these associations and their members to eliminate the chronic defaulters. We also recommend building of capacities of circle leaders in financial management, literacy, leadership, governance, savings, and credit management. Madam Speaker, we also recommend quarterly meetings should be encouraged to reduce the administrative window to ensure that issues that are addressed well in time for purposes of circles and operational efficiency. Madam Speaker, we also recommend that a clause is adopted in all associations and circles addressing the issue of corruption and misrepresentation. This will help in addressing corruption and forgeries in future. Madam Speaker, we recommend that Microfinance Support Center should incorporate administrative and operational costs in the funds disbursed to EMIOGA to avoid the circles from encroaching on funds availed for onward lending to members. And then we also, Madam, on the same note, we recommend that hard-to-reach areas should be considered or allocated more funds, say the island districts in Karangara, Buvuma, and others. Madam Speaker, in conclusion, as members of parliament from Buganda region, we appreciate the program was a well thought out plan. However, it was hurriedly done without adequate sensitization and training, and given that it has operated for less than 2 years, it is in our considered opinion that when given more time and following the recommendations from the various stakeholders in these regions, there will be a socio-economic transformation in our country. Madam Speaker, I beg to submit. Thank you so much. This was a report from all the districts within the region.
Uganda, thank you for the good report. Thank you so much, West Nile. Kindly, let's be brief. Let's summarize. Members, when you look at these reports, they have cross-cutting recommendations, observations. So that's why I'm telling the member to summarize so that we are able to come up with the resolutions on what we would want government to do for the subsequent programs and even the current program, since it is still ongoing. Honorable Taiwa, that is your member. That's why we need some induction.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I am representing the region West Nile. Allow me to lay before the table the report the people from West Nile have submitted.
Thank you.
Madam Speaker, for the interest of time,
can I have your phone out first, since nobody can have it off?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. For the interest of time, Madam Speaker, I'm not going to go through the background and especially the background. At least the objectives are the same with the previous speakers. I'll just go direct to the methodology used by the people of West Nile. The exercise covered the entire districts and the 26 constituencies of West Nile, including Arua City. Members of Parliament used different approaches in conducting the oversight monitoring of the program. In some districts, members of Parliament worked together as a team, for example, Obongi and Koboko districts. While in other districts, each member of Parliament focused on his or her constituency. Generally, the following approaches were used, Madam Speaker. Meetings with district level, the Myoga Task Force, and other stakeholders, including the security team, technical officers, chief administrative officers, and district commercial officers and political leaders were held, whereby the leaders were briefed on terms of reference. Meetings with leaders of circles and parish associations to assess how the program is managed and the related challenges in some cases. Members of Parliament met chairpersons and executive committees of the circle separately. Meetings with individuals, members of parish associations, sub-county level, political leaders, technical staff, including sub-county chiefs, sub-county development officers, production officers, and parish chiefs to assess their participation and preparation of the program. Review of documents, including a MIOGA program, implementation guidelines, loan application forms, minutes of meetings, bank statements, and district and SACCO level reports to ascertain whether the accountability measures are adhered enough to. Radio talk shows were conducted to sensitize communities about the program and also to get the views of people who could not be reached through meetings. Key findings, Madam Speaker. The following are the key findings of the Parliamentary Oversight Assessment Team in West Nile Sub-Region, according to the terms of reference set by the Office of Speaker. The table below shows amounts of funds released to each district in the region. Adjumani, with 2 constituencies, received 1,120 million Ugandan shillings.
Give us your general findings. We know how much you received per district.
Okay. The total amount received by the region West Nile is 12,549,682,900 Ugandan shillings. SACCO and groups that registered. The number of SACCOs and parish associations or groups that registered varied from district to district. In most of the constituencies, 18 SACCOs registered in the targeted enterprises categorized for a MIOGA program by the districts, which are in turn registered by Ministry of Trade, Industries and Cooperatives, and issued registration certificates and bylaws. A total of 446 SACCOs have been registered in the 26 constituencies of West Nile. In Teregu district, only 33 instead of 36 SACCOs were formed in the 2 constituencies. Teregu West has 17 SACCOs, while Teregu East with 16 SACCOs out of the 33. Teregu West that have received the funding have not started distributing or disbursement of the funds to parish associations because the SACCOs have not received their certificates from the Registrar of Cooperatives. In Yumbe district, only 58 SACCOs out of 72 have been formed, and 44 of the 58 SACCOs have received seed capital. However, the funds have not been used due to inadequate preparation by parish associations. Most associations do not have business premises and stationary. Non-payment of membership fees, no or little savings to grant loan against inadequate measures to ensure recovery of borrowed funds, bureaucracies from the banks and effective utilization of funds. In the Navy district, only journalists were unable to form a SACCO in time to receive the funds. While in Arua City, 11 SACCO groups are not registered with Registrar of Cooperatives. The criteria for the disbursement of the funds. The funds are disbursed directly to the constituency SACCO accounts held in different commercial banks in the districts by Microfinance Support Center This money is supposed to be distributed among the parish associations, members of the SACCOs, based on their shares and work plans. At parish association level, money is to be loaned to members on the basis of payment of membership fee and savings of each member. However, there were lots of variations in distributing the funding among the parishes and individual members of the parish associations. Some SACCOs share the money equally. For example, restaurant owners and mechanics in Koboko North, while others share in proportions which didn't have clear criteria, and this was the case with the women entrepreneurs, border borders, and produce dealers in Koboko. Most of the Emyoga SACCOs in the region have started distributing funds and giving loans to primary associations and beneficiary members respectively. The members that received the loans have started using the funds borrowed to implement their programs. Though with some challenges due to the lockdown, however, in Adjumani East constituency, mechanics and veteran SACCOs have not been able to access the funds because instead of 30 million, 50 million was received in their accounts of the SACCOs. Who qualifies for these Emyoga funds? The people who were earmarked to qualify are people of 18 years and above who are categorized among the 18 enterprises. Extortion from the public officers. There were no evidences of extortion from public officers overseeing a Emyoga program except in Teregu district, where a group known as Yellow Brigade in Arua City duped associations in Greater Arua and collected 300 Ugandan shillings as an inducement to connect the association to easily get the Emyoga funds. However, there were several cases of mismanagement by the leadership of the constituency SACCOs and parish associations. In our meetings, members reported some of the chairpersons and the treasury. It was alleged that the chairperson, Produce Dealers SACCO in Koboko North, withdrew 25 million but declared 22 million, hiding 3 million. Taxi operators in the constituency seem not to have any activity in the area. The group withdrew 28 million out of the 30 million received in the account and gave it out to members to do business. It was observed that some of the chairpersons of the SACCO deal directly with individual members of parish associations, giving them loans directly from the SACCO, but not by the leadership of the parish groups. The parish associations are now being used, and there is discrimination in giving out the loans. Some of the members casted doubt on the number of parishes associations under some of the SACCOs, especially produce dealers. In Arua district, there were elements of theft among the group leaders. A case in point is the Performing Artists Association withdrew 29 million, and the General Secretary ran away with the money. He was intercepted at Olepi on his way to Kampala. The CDO and the RDC were informed by members realizing that the gentleman was out of his home. Veterans, widows, and orphans associations got 29 million, which was withdrawn upon the chairpersons tricking them to sign.
Honorable, can you summarize?
Okay, Madam
As I
Speaker.
guided, observations.
Key challenges, Madam Speaker. The key challenges that the people of West Nile got are these. There are no operational funds to effectively monitor and supervise the program by Office of District Commercial Officer, Resident District Commissioner, and other district officials. Sub-county level government structures are not involved in the processes of the selection, implementation, and monitor approach, with the minimum involvement of the local leadership and stakeholders to provide context-specific input to the program. 4, the funds for the EMIOGA program were disbursed directly by the Microfinance Support Center to the accounts of the beneficiary circles within minimum involvement of the Office of the COW, District Accounting Officer. 5, there were no clear guidelines given by the Office of RDCs who chair and coordinate EMIOGA program. 6, the amount of funds sent to the groups and constituencies is inadequate to meet the needs of the primary associations and members of the circles. 7, the EMIOGA program funds of the communities to mean a campaign fund given by His Excellency, and it should be utilized. 9, many members fear to apply for the EMIOGA funds because if they misappropriate it, they can be arrested and jailed. The training provided by the Microfinance Support Center was inadequate for them to effectively manage the circles. Madam Speaker, these are the recommendations from the team from West Nile. 1, operational funding should be factored in the main grant, otherwise the actual project funds are already being used and tampered with, which will affect the size of the funding. 2, more accountability mechanisms to be put in place by involvement of the local leaders to monitor, sensitize, and hold group leaders accountable. 3, the central government should engage and consult the district local government stakeholders in the design of rural development programs such as EMIOGA and the Paris Development Model. 4, clear guidelines and tools to be provided by the line ministries, departments, and agencies such as Microfinance Support Center to ensure standardized practices across all districts. 6, sufficient capacity building and training be provided for the executives and members of the circles to ensure they are competent to manage the program. 8, sufficient funding be appropriated to meet the demands for low interest capital for SMEs. 9, the loan recovery period to be the nature of the business for which the loan is taken. Increase community mobilization and education efforts to increase demand and uptake of the revolving fund. Facilitate community development and commercial officers to supervise, monitor, and report on the performance of the EMIOGA program. Extension workers be recruited to provide technical support for the circles and parish associations on enterprise selection, and management. RDCs and commercial officers should address management and related challenges of SACCOs, which include selection of leadership from one sub-county, non-accountability of committees dealing directly with individuals, theft of funds withdrawn, verification of enterprises by some of the groups. Microfinance Support Center should provide more technical support to the district task force in order to enhance sustainability of the program. Decentralization of certification of the SACCOs and groups to be in the region for easy accessibility. In conclusion, Madam Speaker, a Myoga program is a well-conceived program with promising results. However, there is urgent need to streamline its implementation modalities in order to improve its chances of achieving its intended goal. Critical in improving the performance of the program is using the local government structures in implementation, supervision, and monitoring of the program, strengthening of the management system of the SACCOs and parish associations, and strategic selection of enterprises for rural and urban settings. As members of the Parliament from the region, we are committed in ensuring that this program succeeds, and it's therefore our sincere hope that the above recommendations will be given the due consideration it deserves. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for the time.
Thank you. Thank you. Members, as you make a presentation, if something has already been said in another report, I don't think you need to repeat. As I said, most of these observations and recommendations are cross-cutting. So we need to be as brief as possible. And remember, today is Thursday. As per Rule 41, the Prime Minister has asked for some 20 minutes. She's going to the field, so she could give her report, and then she leaves us debating the report. Prime Minister, she only has about 3 questions.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, allow me to present a statement, first for the business of the succeeding week. Under Rule 28 of our Rules of Procedure, that requires me to make a statement in the House regarding the business of the succeeding week. I'm here therefore submitting the following business for the succeeding week, 21st September to 23rd September 2021. 1. Motion for resolution of Parliament to pay tribute to the late Metropolitan Archbishop John Rwanga of the Uganda Orthodox Church. A statement on the statement of roads in the country. I think this one is going to be comprehensive. I've already directed the minister to bring a very big comprehensive report. A statement on the status of the quality of telecommunication in the country. And then a statement on the status of Expo 2020 Dubai. Honorable Speaker, I beg to submit. Honorable Speaker, like we adopted.
Thank you. You can present now the matters.
Allow me to read the questions in the interest of time. Right Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Naigaga Mariam, the woman MP Namutumba, this is her question. The 9th Parliament approved a loan for the implementation of Agriculture Cluster Development Project as a pilot to be implemented in 42, now 57 districts. Among them is Namutumba district. This project has addressed major constraints faced by farmers, such as access to the subsidized inputs, construction of post-harvest facilities, and now starting to work on a few farm access roads. This project is coming to an end in March 2022. Can the Right Honorable Prime Minister explain to this Parliament the preparations for rollout to the remaining districts, as well as deepening the services in the already benefiting districts? Honorable Speaker, my response is the Agriculture Cluster Development Project is financed by an International Development Association credit of US dollars 150 million. The project was approved by World Bank on 9th April 2015, became effective on January 23rd, 2017, and is scheduled to close on 31st March 2022. The project project development objective is to raise on-farm productivity, production, and marketable volumes produce in 12 geographical clusters comprising of 57 districts. Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, there are some achievements. One is provision of agro inputs to the beneficiary farmers. Provision of matching grants to producer organizations. And 3, strengthening agro input and output markets. Agriculture water management investments. Strengthening agriculture statistics. Web-based geotagged ICT platforms. E-extension platforms, mobile soil testing application, e-marketing platforms, data analysis, financial inclusion system, and rehabilitation of road chokes. The procurement of the second set of works in 21 districts, including Namutumba, Chotera, Masaka, Rakai, Mpigi, Bugiri, Sinjiro, Bushenyi, Rubanda, Kabale, Ruchiga, Gulu, Ngoya, Umoro, Yumbe, Arua, Maracha, Madiokoro, Kibale, Kumi, and Kakumiro has been concluded, awaiting signing by the end of this month. That is question 1. Question 2, NIGAG again raised another question, that in some areas farmers were not well guided while making the project's work plans and missed out the key component of power connections. That what is the ministry's arrangement in terms of support toward such groups that have failed to start despite having structures because of power? My response, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, is it is true some facilities developed are located in areas far away from the national grid. The high cost of extension of power in some sites without power connection has delayed the operationalization of the completed facilities. The Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industries and Fisheries, and the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources are implementing a government program of rural electrification to ensure it is extended to farmer organizations to fully utilize the facilities. This project is a well-designed project that addresses the entire commodity value chain and in tandem with the agro-industrialization agenda of the NRM government. Right Honorable Speaker, as a government, finally, we are negotiating with the World Bank for a no-cost extension of the 15 months to enable ongoing contracts for the road construction of a post-harvest storage and management facilities, a rollout of digital applications and administrative data collection tools in 57 districts. Yet, Honorable Speaker, additionally, we have also started consultations with World Bank and other stakeholders on the possible financing for a second phase of the project that will cover the entire country. And an implementation supervision mission by the World Bank is scheduled from 20th to 28th September 2021, in which, among other issues, project extension and consolidation of the second phase will be discussed. Question number 3 came from Engineer Kasbat, Honorable Abigaba Mirembe, Member of Parliament, Kibale County, Kamwenge District. For some time now, Kamwenge District has had a number of their people suffer from ponocardiosis, a non-infectious elephantiasis. Over the years, the disease has been seen to be done to rescue the communities affected. Majority of the affected communities are in Usiriba sub-county and the Bogodi Town Council, but some cases have equally been reported in other neighboring sub-counties. That what is the Ministry of Health, what the Ministry of Health has ably done is to explain the disease and the possible causes on paper. He asked the questions below, that what is government, what will government be, when will government be seen to deliberately come to the rescue of the communities affected through primary health care, education, treatment, related efforts, and some other form of support to the affected families. Here's another question, that why has government delayed to dispatch a team of multidisciplinary experts, that is health, agriculture, and sociology, to Kamwenge district to get first-hand facts about the situation and take appropriate action? My response, that Honorable Speaker, is that the Ministry of Health is aware of this public health problem in Kamwenge district. The Ministry of Health has worked with Kamwenge district local government to put in place several interventions and mitigation measures that include: 1, assessment of the burden of the disease in Kibale County, in particular, Busiribi sub-county, Ntara, and Kamwenge sub-counties. 2, advocacy and sensitization. Advocacy and sensitization meetings have been held in Kamwenge district with the local leaders and affected sub-counties where affected sub-counties were educated about the disease and how to manage it. But, Honorable Speaker, the disease has no known cure yet, and is only preventive measures and sensitization by avoiding walking barefooted. People who develop secondary infection, that is wounds, were advised to seek for medical care from nearby health facilities, where they are provided with antibiotics and painkillers. Health have been trained on how to manage those patients who present themselves with those symptoms. Those with underlying nodules are referred to health center to undergo surgery. Behavior change and communication about the preventive measures is ongoing, conducted by Kamwenge District Health Officer and the District Health Educator. The second question, that why has government delayed to dispatch a team? As I asked earlier, Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable colleagues, the Ministry of Health, in collaboration with the World Health Organization, Makerere School of Public Health and Center for Disease Control, worked together to investigate cases of the disease in Kamwenge district to find a possible solution. The investigations revealed that females were more affected than their male counterparts at a ratio of 3:1. Among these tested, none tested positive for Virario worm, which causes elephantiasis. It was therefore concluded that the disease was associated with alkaline clay soil, which irritates their skin. Right Honourable Speaker, I would like to categorically state that the Ministry of Health has continuously engaged the district leadership on the severe damage caused by the disease, that is podoconiasis, and continue to sensitize the communities. Then the question 4 was still from my brother Cuthbert, that over the years and on many occasions, members representing areas that neighbor the national game parks have raised matters relating to wildlife-human conflict and destruction of crops, property, and killing of domestic animals. We appreciate the government for the effort to mitigate the conflicts through 1A, the Wildlife Act 2019, B, the installation of an electric fence around the game parks, and that the question 1, he asked me to explain why and Wildlife Act of 2019 is not yet implemented, especially to address section 82, 84, and 84 of the Act that deal with compensation of individuals and communities that suffer losses due to wildlife invasion. Then the other question was to share a roadmap of extending installation of an electric fence to Kamwenge district from Lubirizi district, where it is started and stopped, causing all animals to migrate to Kamwenge side. My response is the human wildlife conflict are no doubt a growing challenge in Uganda. This situation is largely attributed to an increase in human population against the declining wildlife habitats caused by agriculture expansion, degradation, and related factors such as disruption of the natural migration patterns. It is true section 82, 83, and 84 of the Wildlife Act 2019 make provisions for compensation arising from losses due to wildlife. Section 86 also provides for the minister to make regulations to operationalize some of the sections of the Act. I wish to report, honorable colleagues, that the Uganda Wildlife Compensation Regulation are now before the first Parliamentary Council for drafting. Once this is finalized, the regulations will be gazetted by the minister. However, it is important to note that whereas the Act provides for the Uganda Wildlife Authority to put 2% of the revenues collected from the services offered by the authority into the compensation scheme. These funds are not sufficient to address the numerous compensation claims from all over the country. Besides, like you already know, the COVID-19 pandemic that has greatly reduced the revenues collected by Uganda Wildlife Authority from tourism activities. With regard to electric fencing, government through Wildlife Authority has so far erected 23 kilometers of the fence that is wired and powered in the Maxon Falls National Park, while 42.8 kilometers has been wired and powered in the Queen Elizabeth National Park, making a total of 65.8 kilometers of electric fence to date. Now that we have seen that the electric fence is effective in preventing elephants from crossing the national parks to the communities, the ministry will prioritize the expansion of the electric fence in the next budget. The Uganda Wildlife Authority has assessed about 1,000 kilometers of the national park boundary where electric fence can be erected. However, the electric fence is not the only intervention to address a human-wildlife conflict. For example, the electric fence cannot be erected on the water bodies or in swamps and hills. Other areas require other interventions which are already ongoing, including fences, trenches, covering about 500 kilometers in total, beehives, over 15 have already established in areas bordering national parks. 19 kilometers of stone wall in Mugahinga Gorilla National Park, and growing of commercial crops that are not palatable to wildlife but of high commercial value, such as tea, tobacco, and red chili. To address human rights conflict, once again, Right Honorable Speaker, the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Integrities and the affiliated agencies will continue with engagements, partnering with stakeholders that can bring in capacity and resources to support mitigation measures, and cooperation with the local communities and political leaders in ensuring that damages caused by wildlife are reduced and the people's livelihood enhanced to attain sustainable socio-economic transformation of our communities while securing Uganda's long-term conservation goals. The last question came from the Honorable Kirabo Agnes, Member of Parliament representing youth in Central Region, that on August 20th, 2021, the Executive Director of National Bureau of NGOs in a press conference declared 54 NGOs suspended with immediate effect on grounds of non-compliance with the NGO Act 2016. That some failed to file annual returns and others were operating without valid permits. It is surprising that some of these organizations, such as Youth Equality Center, complied with all the requirements as called for by the NGO Act 2016. That is, they operate under a valid permit and they filed the returns but were not spared. Some of these organizations are disrupted in their operations due to COVID-19 that has had the country locked down twice by the President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni for good intentions though of saving Ugandans from COVID-19 pandemic, and thus unable to timely file their returns. Some of these non-organizations are youth-led and greatly contribute to the promotion of the national youth policy advocacy, human rights, gender equality, and life survival skills to the younger people, and the other United Nations Sustainable Development Goals of 2030. With the challenges facing the youth, surge in teenage pregnancies, unemployment, mental health concerns, and disruption in education programs, mostly finalists at higher institutions of learning, the services of these non-organizations have been strongly contributing to the mitigation of these challenges. Halting their suspension has risked the youth in the central region to a complex environment. The questions are that the National Bureau of NGOs revises the decision for permanently suspending these NGOs and allow them operate with a time frame of about 6 months as they check themselves on where they are wrong. Government considers supporting some of these NGOs that have been strongly affected by COVID-19, that they are able to continue rendering their services to the youth. That government prioritizes dialogue with some of these NGOs who may be sliding off the objectives of the National Bureau of NGOs. Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues, this is the last question. As a result of its monitoring and investigation functions, the National Bureau of NGOs, that is NGO Bureau, discovered that 54 NGOs were non-compliant with the NGO Act of 2016. The NGO Bureau established that 23 NGOs were operating with expired permits, contrary to Section 31(1) and 32(1) of the NGO Act 2016. 15 NGOs failed to file annual returns and the audited books of accounts to the NGO Bureau, contrary to Section 39(2) and 3 of the NGO Act 2016. That the 16 NGOs were operating without registering with the NGO Bureau, contrary to Section 29(1), 31(1), and 31(2). The affected NGOs that intend to resolve the non-compliance issues have an opportunity to be heard by further engaging the NGO Bureau in ending them resolve their compliance issues. This engagement between the affected NGOs and NGO Bureau is currently ongoing, and as of 15 September 2021, 19 of the affected NGOs had written to the NGO Bureau for engagement on these issues. 6 of the NGOs are already engaging with the NGO Bureau, some including the youth-led NGO like Youth Line Forum and Youth Equity Center. Honourable Speaker, the government appreciates the complementary role NGOs play in the development of the country and holding government accountable, including the youth-led NGOs. Government is committed to providing a conducive and an enabling environment to the NGOs operating in the country. However, to promote public confidence and have a vibrant NGO sector, NGOs must operate in a streamlined manner by maintaining high standards of governance, transparency, and accountability. NGOs must not operate outside the law and should comply with the legal obligations. Right Honourable Speaker, I beg to submit.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Honourable Naigaga.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. And thank you, Right Honourable Prime Minister, for the response. Since this is my maiden speech in the 11th Parliament, For record, my name is Naiga Gamariam, District Woman MP Namtumba District. And allow me, on the same note, congratulate you, my sister, for winning that seat. Right Honourable Prime Minister, I want to appreciate your response to my question regarding the agriculture cluster program. And I want to appreciate, on the same note, that you've clearly highlighted the achievement of this government program. However, on the issue of power, Right Honourable Prime Minister, as one of the benefiting districts of this program, we've made efforts to write to REA, which is a sister ministry to the Ministry of Agriculture, the implementing ministry, to give support to these farmers. This was as a result of trying out NEMA, of which it asked a lot of money that the farmers could not afford. So we wrote to REA as a joint letter with some members from Masaka, where still some facilities are failed to operate due to power supply. And I want to pray that you join our efforts and bring together the ministries, Ministry of Energy and Ministry of Agriculture, and have this matter sorted as you engage World Bank to roll out the second phase. Right Honourable Minister, this is a loan which has really taken a long time, and with my prayer that the project start to help farmers in the agro-processing side of both cereals in Busoga and coffee in Uganda. I beg to submit.
Thank you, Honorable Prime Minister. I think you could make your commitment to engage those ministries.
I have taken note of her concern.
Okay.
I pledge to commit that I will invite her and those other affected areas and invite Minister of Energy so that we can resolve this matter conclusively.
Thank you. Can we have a response from the Leader of Opposition?
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Prime Minister, this agriculture cluster program is a crucial one, especially given the administration's dream for socio-economic transformation of the country. But that the World Bank has started with a few districts, including your own, and I saw in your response you were conflicted, Right Honourable Prime Minister, with due respect, because Kakumiro, amongst the few, is one of the beneficiaries of the 150 million USD. And this is an important project, because the purpose is for on-farm productivity. But, Madam Right Honourable Prime Minister, honestly speaking, like we did for SAGE in the 10th Parliament, this wonderful program should be rolled out to all districts so that we are all beneficiaries. Or else you continue to receive rife complaints from Wananchi.
Okay.
The other one of the rural electrification agents, which has now already been mainstreamed in the ministry, or rather merged with the mother ministry. I think I would only request that now that you have made a pledge, you ensure that the second phase project should cover the whole country. The question from the Honourable Distinguished Member from Kamwenge on this disease threat of elephantiasis, and you say in your response that the team that tested found none of the affected people suffering from elephantiasis, which leaves a lot to be desired in his question. Then something more should be done. At least bring to bear more expertise. More experts should be dispatched to conduct a detailed needs assessment and even do confirmatory tests. Maybe it is a form of coronavirus which we don't know, which attacks the feet. But what would be required is a scientific confirmatory test on the affected. And it should be urgent because it's a matter of an emergency of sorts. The human-wildlife conflicts are indeed a serious challenge in Uganda, Madam Speaker, because this question, I think, has come several times to the Prime Minister, and this time the law has been mentioned. And in Uganda, it's not about shortage of the law. We have all the laws in place, but the challenge is with the implementation, Right Honorable Prime Minister. If the law dealing with the compensatory approach is not being applied, then the question will continue to come, because why not compensate the victims? And you have issues with the compensation. We have seen even a motion which is pending on compensation. And now this one, you have mentioned the numerous compensation claims. I think your administration should reinvent itself and ensure that the pledges you make are honored in a good time. And first thing is first, if this conflict has been on for ages, for donkey years, why not begin with those measures like electric fences, trenches, beehives? Are they not affordable? Before you may even tackle the one of compensation. I think there is something lacking. Oh, please.
Thank you, the Leader of Opposition. Right Honorable Speaker, the information I want to give to the House in regard to the problem we have with the coexistence of our animals and the communities living around the park is that at the end of last Parliament passed a loan which was given by the World Bank, which is helping both my Ministry of Water and Environment and Ministry of Tourism, where the component of making trenches, electrical wires, to prevent the animals wandering into the surrounding community was secured, and it was $78.3 million, and we are in the process of implementing that. It is already in the offering. Thank you.
Thank you, the Minister of State for Environment, for that good information. Now that you have secured these gadgets, please ensure that they are put in place to avoid further conflicts. The last reply I make to the response of the Right Honourable Prime Minister is that on the 54 NGOs that have been suspended by her administration. Madam Prime Minister, it's not necessarily because of you are attributing it to maybe failure to raise the annual returns, but the truth of the matter is that most of these NGOs, including the very first one, the Democratic Governance Facility, which was suspended, DGF, they are held in suspicion for being in bed with some parties in court, which are not necessarily, of course, not NRM. But we are in a multi-party dispensation, Madam Prime Minister. And we are also reliably aware that NRM is a beneficiary of huge funding from some of these NGOs. So why not do the right to shame the devil other than victimizing NGOs just because they are maybe suspected to be associated with some parties? Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Madam
Lord.
Speaker.
The good thing, the suspicion is not in writing. It is, it's what, a perception actually. And if they're in bed with anybody, then they should leave the beds and do their work, what brought them to Uganda. other than fighting people. Yes, there's a procedure matter.
Madam Speaker, thank you so much for allowing me to raise this procedure matter. I want to thank the Right Honourable Prime Minister for answering the questions that have been brought before her. Madam Speaker, early last week, I submitted my question. Actually, my neighbor here too said she submitted her question. My procedural matter is in regards to how will a member know whether he or she is in the queue? Because from today, we've only seen 3 questions being answered, and we are not sure when our questions will be answered. So I really need this clarification, and I need to be guided, Madam Speaker. Thank you so much.
Clerk, you need to give that clarification to the members because one, it is your rules, our own rules, Rule 41, which says that they shall be put in writing and it shall be by raffle. So I don't know whether the 15 questions are always forwarded to the Prime Minister or not. Prime Minister, do you receive the 15 questions?
Right Honourable Speaker, the law is very clear. The clerk sends me questions and...
So, clerk, we need to know where the other questions are, and they should be sent for answering. And Madam Prime Minister, Right Honourable, we have 146 districts? 146, and there are only 57. I heard my brother complaining. I think next time these people should move to all the districts. I would be happy to hear that Omoro is there, Bukedea is there, Napaka is there, Tororo is there. So we actually urge you, if it is a matter of money, we all want to come back to this house. And we can only come back to this house once we are included in this kind of activities in our districts. And inclusion is very, very important. I want to thank you for your response. Abigaba has something to say. And this issue of the sickness, maybe the scientist, Mariam, your question has been answered. Can you leave our Prime Minister? This business of the sickness in that area, now that you've found out it's not elephantiasis, then the scientists need to do more to find out what could be the problem in the area. Yes, Honourable.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I want to appreciate the Right Honourable Prime Minister for attempting to answer my questions. I had asked 2 questions. But her response in the first question, I was not really satisfied. The question to do with the podoconiosis in Kamwenge. This is a very serious matter, Right Honourable Speaker. I was in the 10th Parliament, and I am sure I represented my people very well. They even returned me unopposed. Now, Right Honourable Speaker, in those 5 years, we raised this matter several times on the floor of this Parliament, and in those 5 years, I never heard anybody from the Ministry of Health in Kamwenge district, and the only information I have about this disease, actually I get it from academic journals on the internet. So I want really to call upon the Right Honourable Prime Minister to consider the people of Kamwenge. We have suffered, I don't know whether you have the statistics about the people who are affected by this disease. Clearly, in your own submission, you rule out elephantiasis, so we don't know what kind of disease this one is. And Right Honorable Prime Minister, I have seen you visit a number of
Procedure
areas.
matter. Procedure.
Madam Speaker, I am surprised that the honourable member is talking about something raised several times on a disease which is unique, that the government has failed to address it and to handle it. There are ways where we address these issues by writing to the World Health Organization to look into these issues. I want to find out why the Prime Minister cannot refer this issue to the World Health Organization. Because this is a procedure where the government cannot handle these issues. You write to the World Health Organization to see into this uniqueness of the disease. Thank you.
I had already made a ruling that since they fail to understand what it is, they should refer. And I think that was the ruling that I had already made. And going to World Health Organization may be too fast. We have scientists who are even better. So maybe we need our scientists to find out what the problem could be. We could be sitting on a more dangerous problem. So kindly make a follow-up with the Prime Minister's office and the Minister of Health.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Prime Minister, I will be delighted when you give me an appointment, I come and we discuss this issue. Probably.
You don't need an appointment in a political office. Those are your offices.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Colleagues, those of you who have really got time to come to my office, you have never waited. I make sure that members of Parliament are given priority to reach my office. Honorable Cuthbert, I request that you come to my office, then we engage with the scientists. But so far the information I got is what I have given you. And I pledge that we can move together and we can move faster. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and it would also be good if you visited that team in Kamwenge. They would feel nice if you reached there, that you cared for them.
Right Honorable Speaker, this weekend I'm going to go to Chegegwa. I think I can also now add Kamwenge so that we interact with the communities. But then it will depend on how fast I can get these scientists so that it's not really good for me to go. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a scientist. So I will mobilize these scientists this weekend. If I get them in time, then I will come to Kamwenge. If I don't, you know they are not readily available also. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prime Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
Right Honorable Speaker, on Tuesday we brought an emergency to be treated here in Parliament. And
we are going to discuss that emergency after the report of Emioga. I am aware of it. You talked to me. I'm surprised you've gotten the microphone.
Most obliged.
We are going to the next. Yes. Honorable Enos, come back. We are discussing your report.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. We've received very comprehensive and good reports on Emioga from the regional representatives, and I think we've gotten very important information. Right Honorable Speaker, would it be procedure right if the reports we've received already, substantive represented on the floor, could be considered, but we also, those colleagues who have not yet presented their reports, they lay them on table, we receive them as a House. Since we've gotten a clear picture of really what has happened, then we start the debate, because I've seen we are repeating the same issues over time. We receive all reports at once, you know,
and then we receive responses from opposition and the government, and then we debate, Right Honorable. Or did we procedure right?
Before I rule on that, can I hear from opposition?
I want to be at par with the government chief whip, but with the reservation on express understanding that opposition is not going to respond. It is government that will respond. Ours, we have also a report which is already summarized, and it could be presented because it is an alternative to all those others that have been presented by the regions, Madam Speaker.
Members, as I said before, that most of these observations and the recommendations are cross-cutting. And that's why the leader of, that's why the government chief whip is saying we lay on table the reports. If that is agreeable, then we do so. I think we can lay on table, then we debate it. We get a brief report from finance, from opposition, debate it, and come out with the resolutions. Busoga?
Right Honorable Speaker, thank you for your indulgence. I beg to lay the report on the performance of Presidential Initiative on Wealth and Job Creation, a Myoga project in Busoga sub-region. I beg to lay.
Thank you, Busoga. Sede?
Yes, thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. I also want to lay the report from Sabay sub-region. Having listened to my colleagues, and it seems we have the same issues, so I have no problem. We can proceed with the debate.
Thank you so much. Bunyoro? Bunyoro?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members. And for records, I'm seeing Harriet Mugenyi, Woman Member of Parliament for Yuma District, and the Vice Chairperson, Bunyoro Parliamentary Caucus. Right Honorable Speaker and members, I beg to lay copies of the report of a Myoga program in the Bunyoro sub-region. I beg to lay.
Thank you, Honorable Harriet. Bugisu? Bukedi? Bugisu, okay, Bukedi start, then Bugisu.
Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the report of the monitoring of members of Parliament for Buked's Myoga program. I beg to lay.
Thank you, Bukedi.
Right Honorable Speaker, for the record, my name is Wanda Richard, Member of Parliament for Wungoho Central. I wish to lay on table the report for Gisu sub-region in relation to a Myoga program. I beg to lay. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bugisu. Ankole.
Right Honorable Speaker, for the record, my name is Bataringa Basil Wankwene, Member of Parliament, Kashar North, Mbarara District, and the Chairperson, Ankwere Sub-Region Caucus. I wish to lay on the table the monitoring report for the Emyoga program as you directed. I beg to move.
Which other region is left? I have my personal report for Bukedea. Please lay it.
Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay a report on the implementation and performance of the Emyoga program in the Bukedea district, compiled by the Office of the Deputy Speaker. I beg to lay.
Thank you so much, Honorable Procedure. Yes, Dr. Batua.
Yeah, thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. We were asked to lay these reports following sub-regions in regard to Emyoga, but Right Honorable Speaker, cities are peculiar. You know, the cost of doing business or trading in cities is very different from some of these regions. And we thought, we thought that we could seek your leave such that as cities, especially the new cities, we also submit a report in regard to Emyoga due to the peculiarities attached to us. So are we proceeding well? The procedure matter is, are we proceeding well when we do not give special preference to the cities, given that these have just been brought on board and they are starting to be operational this financial year?
Do you have a report from your city?
Right Honorable Speaker, we request you for just next week, in the next sitting,
No.
However,
Yes.
I have one, Right Honorable Speaker, I have one. For Ginger City.
Lay it if you have. You see, we sent everybody to the constituencies, and that should be within Busoga. Is Ginger outside Busoga?
Information, Madam Chair. Procedure. Procedure.
Yes.
Chair, are we proceeding well when we set standards?
Yeah.
And say people report in regions. And those are our chosen methods. For any one member not to submit a report in a region and then come here and say he requires special discretion. Are we proceeding well when we allow a member to behave in such a manner? Right Honorable Speaker.
You see why I made a personal report for Bukedea. In the last presentation, when the President was making a State of Nation address, Bukedea was a reference. And the Minister was sent to Bukedea specifically. And that is why we are making a special report, because it was a reference. And I want to imagine that Ginger City is part of Busoga region, and there's nothing special from your city that is different from Gulu city, that is different from any other city, like the ones in Uganda. Can we have a statement from the Minister? A brief statement from the Minister?
Madam Speaker, Procedure.
Before the minister, the procedural issue I'm raising, Madam Speaker, is it is clear in our rules of procedure and even in the Commonwealth practice that even with the general majority report, one may generate a minority report. And in the case of Dr. Batua, his is likely to be a minority report. So, wouldn't it be procedurally okay to allow it, Madam Speaker?
Can we have the minister? That is not a minority report.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker and honourable colleagues. Right Honourable Speaker, allow me to thank you very much for the decision you took to send members to their respective constituencies to follow up on the implementation of this wonderful program. Right Honourable Speaker, thank you very much. How I wish that this could be extended to all government programs because, Right Honourable Speaker, members of Parliament have done a wonderful job, and indeed, ever since they went to follow up on the implementation of Myoga, key stakeholders that were reluctant to implement or to follow up on the implementation of this program are now busy following up and ensuring that this program succeeds. I thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, because of time I'm not going to talk about background. Of course, all of us know. Allow me to begin with the status update on the progress. Right Honourable Speaker and honourable members, shillings 260 billion was provided by Parliament for the Myoga program. These funds have been disbursed to Microfinance Support Center, which was designated as the lead implementing agency for the Myoga program. And this financial year, shillings 100 billion was voted by Parliament for the program. Right Honourable Speaker, Microfinance Support Center is working in collaboration with district Myoga task forces that were set up in all districts and chaired by the resident district commissioners. The district task forces, Right Honourable Speaker, have the composition of chief administrative officers, district community development officers, district commercial officers, microfinance zonal officers, LOC5 chairpersons, members of Parliament, and the representatives of the 18 Myoga categories. Colleagues, the Myoga program is being implemented in 5 phases. That is community mobilization and identification of beneficiaries, the registration of parish-based associations and the Myoga circles, training and member education, disbursement of funds, and monitoring and supervision of technical, by technical officers. Right Honourable Speaker and members, I'm pleased to report that the Myoga program has registered the following achievements. Under community mobilization and identification of beneficiaries, Right Honourable Speaker, I spearheaded this phase, which involved the and district sensitization meetings for leaders, members of Parliament, local leaders, and representatives of Myoga categories or enterprises. The program was successfully launched countrywide, and 7,023 participants took part in the meetings. Registration of parish-based associations and the Myoga circles, Right Honourable Speaker and honourable members, under this phase, Microfinance Support Center has mobilized 5,710 parish-based associations and 6,748 Myoga circles countrywide, reaching out to 4,114,200 direct beneficiaries as at the end of June 2021. With support from Microfinance Support Center, Right Honourable Speaker, 6,275 Emyoga circles. Newly created Emyoga circles have been issued with registration certificates, but the register of cooperatives and issuance of certificates is still ongoing. Training and member education. Right Honourable Speaker, under this phase, a total of 2,809 local government officers, that is district commercial officers and district community development officers, underwent a training of trainers, and they support the district Emyoga task forces to plan, organize, conduct, and monitor the quality of training for the members of the parish-based associations and the leaders of the Emyoga circles. Right Honourable Speaker, I'm pleased to report that a total of 1,325,000 members in the parish-based associations and 331,002 leaders from the registration of Emyoga circles have so far been trained in the areas of financial literacy, enterprise selection, mindset change, basic financial management, record keeping, to mention but a few. Right Honourable Speaker, Microfinance Support Center has deployed 54 clients.
Yes, Honourable Cole.
Madam Speaker, when you made our report from the different regions, my thinking was that the minister will respond to the reports and the issues that we raised in the different regions. But unfortunately, I am realizing that the minister is also giving his own report. Now, I'm wondering how we are going to proceed in this situation. I'm beginning to think backwards how you send members to monitor the issue of COVID, how you divided people to the several regions, and they came and there was a central committee that received the report from the different regions, and then later the minister looked into that and came back to report. Yes. Why don't we use that same model? Instead of us reporting from a different region, some people even laid out the report here, which the minister never even read it. And then he's also giving it separate report. I think we are now, if you don't mind, we give time for the minister to read through all we have given from the different regions, then he can come to respond to the issues that we raised. Thank you.
Honourable members, the minister is giving us his report. We'll get from opposition. For your information, I've looked at all these reports, and we are going to give orders to the minister based on what we have seen in all these reports after the debate. Because even if you gave to a committee, they will still come back with the same resolutions. There is nothing that is going to change. The truth is what you found on ground is what is there. The best we can do is now to advise what should be done to avoid, say, to wait for an audit report after a number of years. What we need to do is to arrest the situation now, other than doing a post-mortem. Is that...
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. On the community mobilization, that one I have talked about it. Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable colleagues, about the disbursement of funds, Right Honourable Speaker, Microfinance Support Center entered into memorandum of understanding with various banks to open up accounts for Emyoga circles and ensure the members benefit from affordable transaction costs and favorable terms and account features. Right Honourable Speaker and Honourable colleagues, as at end of July 2021, Microfinance Support Center had disbursed 213 billion 64 million shillings directly.
Members, maybe to allay your fears, I compiled all the recommendations for all the regions to one document that I will read it to you on our recommendations, what should be done. In addition to the generic recommendations that were made.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable. Right Honourable Speaker, thank you very much for that guidance. Concerning disbursement of funds, I was saying that Microfinance Support Center has so far disbursed 213
Honorable Minister, we know what microfinance has disbursed.
So far?
Actually, if I was you, you'd want to hear from members what is happening.
Most so by Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker.
There is a very good report from...
About the response of emerging issues.
Yes. Yes.
About the response of emerging issues, Right Honourable Speaker.
Let the Minister, you've had at least a number of issues.
Concerning the criteria of determining Microfinance Support Center as a sole responsibility center for disbursement of funds, the answer is, Right Honourable Speaker, that Microfinance Support Center is a government company incorporated in 2001 with the mandate to deliver affordable wholesale credit.
Honourable Minister, I expect you to respond to issues that have been raised, that the guidelines are not clear. Now, what is the way forward on your side? People have not been trained on these monies. What is the way forward? Actually, when I saw you appreciating the findings, I thought you were just going to concede and say, this is what we are going to do to correct the problem.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. But Right Honourable Speaker, it is on the record that you directed me to come back with the answer as to why we chose Microfinance Support Center as an implementing agency. But going by your advice, Right Honourable Speaker, about the myogas that have not yet received the funds, Right Honourable Speaker, the process is still continuing, and once the district task force qualifies a circle, a myogas circle, it is supposed to be sent for payment to Microfinance Support Center. So Microfinance Support Center does not have the mandate and the capacity to pay a myogas circle unless it has been forwarded and recommended by the district myogas task force. About political and other challenges, yes, I concede. I concede.
Procedure, I have seen a procedure matter. Why don't you lay your report, as it may be? First of all,
Right Honourable Speaker.
First of all, Honourable Minister, you need to appreciate one thing. You don't manage in a micro way. How does Microfinance Support Center start disbursing money from here to a village down there when they don't know whether those people exist? You heard what Honourable Enos said, that they only get a certificate. Why wouldn't you take these monies to be managed by the cows, and the cows would monitor the operation of this money? Why would you have the money in the center of the microfinance center? You approve the money to be given out, and you're not giving out this money. Where is it going? Do you want us to imagine you're putting it on a fixed depot somewhere?
Right Honourable Speaker.
I am not telling you to speak. There is somebody with a procedure behind there. Please sit. You lay your paper. We will consider it in the late-on table. We will consider it. Let members raise the issues.
Thank you very much, Right Honourable Speaker. I beg to lay on table the responses to the matters raised by on the implementation of presidential initiative by members of Parliament and the progress, together with the annex. I beg to lay, Right Honourable Speaker.
Jen?
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I want to thank the regional presenters that presented the report, the findings of our oversight visit to our different constituencies. Right Honourable Speaker, I listened very keenly to what Honourable Amos was presenting, and there are pertinent issues that cut across this country that I thought the Minister of State for Microfinance would really take interest into. One of such issues was lack of adequate training. The other was disbursement of funds beyond the amounts that some circles should have got. The other that I noted was one circle in I think Rakai, Leaders Circle, got 50 million and it was returned to Microfinance Support Center under unclear circumstances. I thought those observations and recommendations that came out of this report is what the minister would be responding to. And if he is not ready, I thought he would today request that he should be given more time to consult with Microfinance Support Center and come back and report to Parliament. Or he would have told us what they are already doing or what they are going to do. Madam Speaker, are we therefore proceeding right with a minister that we are seeing trying to gamble here and there with the responses? Because the report that he started with clearly indicates that he has not come ready to respond. He's not ready. But he was giving us a status quo of the disbursements of Emyoga funds from Microfinance Support Center. Are we therefore proceeding well?
Information, Madam Speaker.
Members, Honourable Minister, I wish I was you. I would be very, very attentive to what members are raising, because this helps your ministry and it helps you. The truth be told, Emyoga has not helped our people. Whereas the intention was very good. The intention was very good, but the mismanagement of this fund, the micromanagement of Microfinance Support Center, actually the Microfinance Support Center and you are the same and the other. Because there is no way you can manage money from Kampala and that money is supposed to go to Gulu. And you're not even using an EFT to go for that money to be transferred to those accounts. Members, this matter is open to debate. However, before we conclude, how do we end this matter? I am getting 5 people to look at the resolutions that we came up with after looking at all the reports. They look at those 5 resolutions. As we debate, they will come back and present the resolutions that I came out with from my office. Honorable Anne, you're part of the team that is going to look at the resolutions with the Honorable Taebwa, Honorable Chivumbi, Sarah,
you had already. Right Honorable
and
Speaker,
the Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker, you had earlier on guided that after the Minister presented his statement, the Leader of Opposition would be given an opportunity to also lay.
We've agreed with the Leader of Opposition on the issue of the resolutions. should be embedded in that. Members? Yes, Honorable.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. For
Yes,
record,
members.
I'm Timothy Gumaiko Kamcha, MP Kajara. I want to thank the whips from different regions and all members of Parliament for the job well done. Madam Speaker, almost each and every report brings out a problem of failure by the government to train the beneficiaries of these funds. Madam Speaker, when you give seeds to any farmer, when that farmer has not prepared a garden, it means the most adjacent alternative is to eat the seeds. So, when people eat this money, when they misuse the money, it is because they were not prepared to receive the money. And this is not the first time people are receiving money when they are not prepared. From that, I conclude that government needs to first train the people who are going to receive the money. When we are talking about the parish model, each and every person was lobbying, the people who were preparing for the project were lobbying that we should give out the money. Yet we had not seen how this fund, Emyoga Fund, had been used. Secondly, by the name of the Emyoga, it means skills. And when you are giving out money for skills, you expect people to have skills. But the people did not have skills. That's why you find that some people who are carpenters were now in the associations or circles of fishermen. In my county, there was a man who didn't know even how to catch mudfish, but he was a member of the fisheries circle. And it has happened everywhere. Now, lastly, Madam Speaker, as I prepare to give my proposal, there is a problem in this country. We go out to make sure that people benefit. But where did we get this money from? It is their taxes and borrowed money. And at the same time, we expect those people to use the money when their hospitals and health centers are not operating normally. We also expect those people to use that money.
Abe?
What does that one mean? It is unusual, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to agree with you that the essence of Emyoga was a very good thing. However, Right Honorable Speaker, I think it is time that we need to interest ourselves in the planning for every project before we rush into the implementation, Right Honorable Speaker. And this should be a leave to implementation of the upcoming parish model. We are confusing our people on the ground. What happened with the Emyoga that we found on ground was rushing to send money. In fact, we found that money were even sent into their accounts before some of the names of the groups were verified and certified. A case in point, actually sub-region, a coordination point was put in Lira. Certificates spent there almost 9 months. And up to date, some of the group members are still confused. They don't know what the Emyoga is for. Besides the confusion of the name Emyoga that is difficult to pronounce by our people, but also there's confusion of what was the money used for. These are my prayers, Right Honorable Speaker, that the months which were given, that we should start repayment in 4 months, we pray that the minister
sends a new guidelines and gives some time for people around at least from 8 months to begin doing the payment, because people do not understand why they got the money. That is my first prayer, Right Honorable Speaker. My second prayer is the minister needs to send a clear guideline once and for all, so that our people on ground can follow. I was being sympathetic with the district leaders. They will tell you, today we have been told this, the other day we have been told this. So I really pray that these two issues are handled and we give a grace period for people who picked money to start payment in 8 months, not 4 months the way it was allocated. I thank you.
Actually, the guidelines that we should have to help this Emyoga project and the subsequent projects, subsequent funds that are being given. And when they are giving out this money, not everything is about money. When you look at a border group, maybe they would prefer having motorcycles than cash. So you need to do what Enos had said, the bottom-top approach, to understand what the people require. Enos?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I wanted to seek your guidance on this. Don't you think it is procedurally right, considering that every one of us contributed to the reports that we've just laid on the table? Don't you think it's procedurally right to give the Honourable Minister time to go, and the team you've just selected, they go look at all the recommendations, the conclusions, they give us a comprehensive response to what we've all raised, instead of debating? Because when you look at what my honourable colleague has just raised, it's already in the report. We mentioned the time of 4 months not being enough for the beneficiaries. You will find that most of us are going to raise the same questions. And
you see, Enos,
yes, Madam Speaker.
You've made a report.
Yes,
you've spoken.
Yes.
There are people who have not mentioned what they think should have been done. So, as the other report is being reconciled, because the other report brings all the recommendations, as it is being reconciled, allow members to air out what they think. Catherine?
Thank you.
You will all talk. This side first sit.
Madam Speaker, you never gave me a chance to finish.
Right Honourable Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity. Madam Speaker, I want to appreciate the reports from the different regions that were presented in the House. Madam Speaker, I want to comment on the arrival time of this project. I think also caused this project a number of discomforts and also made the project to be received with some perception in the community. You are aware, Right Honourable Speaker, that the Emyoga program came to be known in most of the parts of the country during a very high political period of time when we were all very busy with politics and things were really at its height. And Right Honourable Speaker, to me this also contributed to some perception that got built by the voters on this program. Madam Speaker, on the issue of training gaps, that was noted from all the reports from the different regions. Right Honourable Speaker, most of the trainings being conducted is by by the Microfinance Support Center. But you are aware a number of programs in the country in the past has been also tackling SACCOs. And we are all aware of the high levels of debts of SACCOs in the past. I want to recommend that the minister in charge of cooperatives also takes time to reinforce Microfinance Support Center in building the capacities of these SACCOs to know their work. Because we are all aware that the SACCOs are established at constituency levels, meanwhile associations are at parish level. So there is need to reinforce the SACCOs at the constituencies. Finally, Madam Speaker, on the issue of the funding, when you look at the interest of this program, basically, it is one of those which has been designed with strategies to transform at least 68% of Uganda households from subsistence to market-oriented production.
Emyoga has come with its design at constituency level that goes to parish levels. But Madam Speaker, look at the funding allocated of 30 million shillings at the constituency level. Take a case in point, the borders under their cooperatives. Another one is the veterans, as was mentioned in one of the reports from the regions. Madam Speaker, when you look at 30 million shillings, when it translates down to the community, to the final person in that cooperative or in that association, I don't think that can really contribute meaningfully to transforming lives at that level. Madam Speaker, after analysis of our report in this House, maybe to the final stage, when all these mix-ups have been cleared by the ministry concerned, I would recommend that there is need for us as Parliament to add more money to this program for it to be successful and cause transformation that is much needed. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, thank you.
Procedure.
We can only add money if the issues are resolved with the associations. And we also need to strengthen Uganda Microfinance Regulatory Association plus the circles. We need a law that will have sanctions to the effect.
Procedure, Madam Speaker.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. The procedural issue I'm raising is members are discussing critical issues that the minister in charge of microfinance should be.
The minister is here.
But does he know the Myoga properly? Because it was the Honorable Kasoro who is actually...
By the way, circles are managed by cooperatives. I'll come there.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, for record purposes, I'm Itungo Nathan. I represent the people of Kashara South in Imbara District.
Members, 2 minutes.
Madam Speaker, the big problem of this Myoga was about the guidelines. I was lucky when I was going, somebody told me there was a guideline that the commercial officers had. But there was also another guideline which was issued by the microfinance. And what people used was what they got from microfinance. That, for example, there was a conflict on whether they should charge interest rate of 8% or 12%. The original guideline was talking about 8%. The one of Microfinance Center was talking about 12%. There was also an issue about the security. The security of the original guideline was about the members. But the new guidelines from microfinance, they wanted to correct security, land and the rest. That means the poor people could not access this money. There was also an issue about the membership. Membership was made open, that you can be in this circle, in another circle, in another circle, because they have the money to pay for the registration and whatever the members want. Then there are so many issues, but the last one was about the lending period. Some people were given a 4 months, others 6 months. There was no grace period. At the original guidelines were talking about the grace period. So my observation and my recommendation is that the minister should come out properly on the guidelines, because that's what is disturbing people. Madam Speaker, just a second. The guidelines.
Members, the guidelines must come out clearly on the lending, on how the money should be used, on belonging, whether you should belong to one association or several associations. The guidelines should be clear. The only thing that these people did was to give out the money without giving a guideline. And people thought that was a casino.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, my concern with this money is about the data desegregation, especially with regard to women, youth, and the elderly. Because when you are talking of skills, I don't think that most of them are in those skilled things. And when you look at the current parish model that is coming, it is also generalized. Yet the other funds were amalgamated, are being amalgamated into all those parish model and the Myuga. Don't you think that the women, the youth, are going to be left out in these programs? How I wish I could know from the minister how many women are benefiting from this Myoga vis-a-vis the money that was dispersed for Myoga countrywide and also at the local, at different village levels and district levels. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Cecilia. Cecilia is...
Right, Honorable Speaker. I'm rising on procedural matter. Right, Honorable Speaker, I think you mentioned something which is very important. When we are giving money, there must be some legal framework to manage that money. But as of now, we can talk until the cows come back home, but it's all about money being given the way some people took advantage of the Prime Minister's humanitarian approach recently. Right, Honorable Speaker, what we should be zeroing on is bringing a bill that will regulate the use of this money. Right, Honorable Speaker, whether you like it or not, this money was political, this money has been mismanaged. You can talk about anything, but we are going to talk whether you are movement or you are in opposition. This money was used against you. You probably did not know, but you are lucky to have won. That is a fact. You know, so I want to tell you the truth. I'm too old to hide anything now. Others would fear to tell you, but let me tell you. That money was actually used for political reasons. That money was managed by RDCs. That money was so... Really, Speaker, we need a law. The minister should concentrate not on the response which he has given. I've looked at it.
Order.
That response, I'm happy that it was not read.
Order.
That response is useless.
Order.
And Right Honorable Speaker, I am telling you that we will...
She's on procedure. She's on procedure.
Thank you.
Members.
Thank you.
I thought she knew. She's an old...
She was on procedure. Members. Madam Honorable Cecilia, much as we need the law, but I don't want us to just say that the money was used for politics. It is not true the money was used for politics. For me, I was not fault. The money was given to the people, but it is the misunderstanding that was there.
Thank you, Right Honorable.
I want somebody behind you first, then you come back.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, the Right Honorable Speaker. I'm Akelo Christine, Member of Parliament for Erute North Constituency, Lira District. I just want to talk about the terms and conditions that was given to the beneficiaries on getting a loan. Most of us, we go for loans when we don't have money. And we know the terms and conditions we always meet when we go for loans. But for Myoga, it has caused more harm. Like as I speak now, the beneficiaries were forced to borrow a loan to get a loan, and they got that loan with some interest. Like some people got 7,500 and it's multiplied times 3, and after that they're supposed to pay the loan back to the person who gave them, and they remain with nothing. So they got from money lenders. And some people who had money, they just put money and they didn't give to the beneficiaries. So it has caused more harm than solving the problem. So That is the biggest problem. As I stand now, people are scared. They don't have anything. They didn't benefit totally. And they're saying we need to speak for them, for their safety. They're scared that they'll be arrested any time from now. I beg to submit.
Information.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Julius Tsime Karhanga is my name. I represent the people of Rwampara East constituency. Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to thank you for your wisdom and when you decided that we can monitor this program. Right Honorable Speaker, the challenges raised by colleagues notwithstanding, I would like to mention that during the monitoring, we realized that there are successes, and some of the successes in these emiogas, especially in Rwampara district, were because of those associations that took on ventures and linked their circles to the skill they were doing. For example, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, those people like taxi operators who bought the omnibuses or taxis to keep earning are doing well. People in produce are doing well. People in carpentry are doing well. Right Honorable Speaker, also it was realized during our monitoring that groups that were meeting regularly were able to strengthen their cohesion and are pulling resources together. So despite the challenges, including the training, inadequate training, the limited seed capital that was given to them, I want to say that out there are successes, and the people, the Ugandans, the citizenry are happy that they receive this money. We can look at those successes and benchmark and streamline the whole emioga program. But we shouldn't just be quick to hurl as many stones and the rotten egg. Thank you so much.
Professor Mushemesa.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. My name is Dr. Rutahigwa Elisa, Member of Parliament representing the people of Rukungiri Municipality. I first of all want to appreciate the program and its initiator, His Excellency the President. I also want to appreciate the people of Rukungiri Municipality because they have at least implemented well and they have got success stories. However, let me start with the emioga as the name of the program. It is a Runyankole dialect, but if you get the real name of the program, it does not match well with the word. We need to get another word for this program. Maybe we can call it PWJ, that is Presidential Initiative on Wealth and Job Creation, so that people from other areas do not have a problem even in pronouncing it. Madam Speaker, I want to talk about the beneficiaries who are basically Ugandans who are economically active on age and those in the informal sector. But Madam Right Honorable Speaker, when you look at the identified groups, you find groups and you wonder if they are falling into that category. For example, the elected leaders. You wonder if they are low income, if they are, let me complete, Madam Speaker, give me 1 minute.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My name is Mamawi James, MP, Adjumani East constituency. Madam Speaker, I want to thank the government of Uganda for supporting our people. Why I'm doing so is because in my constituency, all the groups chosen have received their money in their account. Madam Speaker, I want to thank your office for your wise decision that we go and see what is taking place on the ground. We are very happy when we are on the ground. There are so many things which is taking place in our constituencies. As the report has captured, Madam Speaker, I want to report that there are some serious local governments which, during implementation of this program, are trying their best to see that this program succeeds. One of it is the Ajuman District local government. I want to thank Ajuman District local government very much that when we reached on the ground, Madam Speaker, they were able to give us their supports. We were able to move with them in all the areas, all the groups to ascertain what is exactly taking place. And I wish that is the move in all the districts. We shall be able to achieve all the government programs. However, Madam Speaker, there are few challenges which we face or we experience while we are carrying out our activities. One of the challenges is the district commercial officers do not know what to do as far as Emyoga is concerned. One of their concerns is they were not facilitated from the start of the programs. Therefore, we want to employ the minister that they should give.
Order on what?
Madam Speaker, the Member of Parliament praised the district officials and how best they are doing the work in Emyoga. And the commercial officers are the ones doing the work. The same member is saying the commercial officer didn't know what they are doing. Is he in order to confuse the House, Madam?
Now what he's saying is that all the groups have got the money. However, the commercial officers do not know what they are doing. But for receipt of money, they have received the money. But the commercial officer, now that is what is going to bring a problem in repayment. That brings a problem in repayment because if the commercial officer has just recommended anybody, any group, then you will realize there will be a problem in loan recovery. So why don't we leave the member to finish? Maybe he has something better.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for protecting me.
Something small.
Government Chief Whip.
Yeah, for our records, colleagues, and Right Honorable, when we make a blanket judgment of a whole group in society, for example, you say district commercial officers don't know what they are doing, and it goes on the Hansard, without you specifying which one you know, and we leave it on the all of them, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable,
I think we need to be specific.
He's talking about his constituency.
This is in general.
Which constituency is yours? Which one is your constituency?
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for protecting me. Madam Speaker, the information we are presenting to the Parliament now is what we got on the ground. Madam Speaker, the commercial officers told us at the first they were not aware. They did not receive awareness on these programs. And they also asked further that they need awareness, training, together with the group members. That is why we are trying to say that at first they do not. But thank you so much for protecting me. Lastly, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Magolo, Nangoli.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. My name is Nangoli Gerard, Member of Parliament, Elgon North, for the record. Right Honorable Speaker, I would like first of all to thank the Honorable Minister that as we discussed last week, my people got money yesterday for the last 8 months.
Honorable Minister.
Last, they got the money yesterday.
Honorable Minister, when was that project started and how come they've got money yesterday?
Yesterday.
After members have gone to the constituency.
They got it yesterday at around 11 in the morning. That's when the money reached their account.
Information, Honorable
Information,
Speaker.
welcome.
Information. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. The
information from Sarah?
Yes. The information I wanted.
I did. Honorable Sarah?
The information I wanted to give to my colleague, Honorable Speaker, I inform you that there are other circles that have money on account, but they have not accessed money because they haven't fulfilled the requirements. Up to now, there are SACCOs with money on account, but they have not yet accessed the money. Thank you so much.
You can sit, it's me who allowed you to. So now, mine was different. They had put their savings on the account to a tune of 9.7 for the last 8 months. But they had not received seed capital, and that is the border. I brought it to the attention of the bank, to the attention of Microfinance Absence Center, and the Honorable Minister last week. At last yesterday, they received the money, that is seed capital of 30 million on the account. At around 11, that's when they got the money. So mine is different from yours. Yours, you are saying that people have the money on the account, but they have not yet what? Accessed it. Mine is different. The money was not there from Microfinance Support Center until yesterday at around 11 in the morning. So, Honorable Minister, I would like to thank you. Thank you very much, but we need to change. There are a number of things that we need to work out as members of Parliament to ensure that people understand this program better.
Honorable Minister, we need an explanation from you in terms of why would an association fail to get money in time? That's one. Two, why would money go into an association's account, but the signatories cannot be able to access that money? You write down the questions. Write it down.
Speaker, my name is Jovan Sirenduru, woman member of Parliament, Chulhura. And I'm glad and happy for the people of Chulhura who gave me their mandate to represent them in the 11th Parliament. My concerns are on 3 issues. The first one is the guidelines. Right Honorable Speaker, as we talk, there are no proper guidelines. We have about the set of 3 guidelines. So I would recommend that we come up with one kind of guidelines and share it with members of Parliament so that we go back and help our people and educate them. Right Honorable Speaker, another issue is on funds. The money that was given to these circles, for instance, I have a circle that has 50 associations. That is, produce dealers in Chulhura, Nyabusho's constituency. 51 associations sharing 30 million. That's very little. I would recommend that such associations or circles, where we have many associations, be given more funds so that people can benefit. Number 3 is about the issue of sensitization. People, up to today, people are not aware of how to utilize the funds. I would recommend, Right Honorable Speaker, that we go on and do sensitization, though we have already received the money. Thank you so much. I beg to submit.
Next.
Yes. Right Honorable Speaker, by name I'm called Lematia John, Member of Parliament, Ive West, Arua City. Madam Speaker, I have 2 issues pertaining on this program. First and foremost, the initial information on this Emyoga program still remains confusing. Because initially they said 30 people, 30 million. But at the end of the day, when the latest information was released that different circle groups will form and get that 30 million, people perceived it wrongly. And up to now, it has still remained confusion on the ground. Secondly, guidelines on disbursement of money. You will realize that on the ground, bank has its own guidelines for withdrawing money. Even these RCCs and the RDCs, they also have their own guidelines for disbursement. On record that a group may wish to withdraw 27 million, but they will be regulated to withdraw 8 or 10 million. Now, imagine this 10 or 8 million to different circle groups, how will it really help them to transform them? So I'll rather, my prayer is, at least I concur with the first person by saying that let the minister give us a proper guideline for all this program. I beg to submit.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. For record, I'm Haji Bashir Vega Sempa, MP, Mubende Municipality. The self-anointed prefects of the August House will accord me considerable latitude such that the global population can feel the freshness of the ideas from Mubende Municipality. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to concur with my colleagues that this one was a well thought out program because I happen to have personally participated before I became a member of Parliament. But I want also to agree that the implementation, Madam Speaker, of an economic transformation program was again so political and haphazard. And that's where we are having a very big problem. Madam Speaker, I don't think we should be very timid that politics came in and actually covered there would be advantages of a very good program. Take, for example, people accessing money before they even get certificates of registration from the Ministry of Cooperatives. Accessing money before you are legally present. What is that if it is not politics? Madam Speaker, look at the facilitation of a very big program like this one. Madam Speaker, thank you very much. I continue, Madam Speaker.
Bashir, let her talk first. I'll give you again.
It has been mentioned by my other honorable members, but it came with challenges. We appreciate the initiative from the President of the Republic of Uganda, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, but we realized that some members who led the circles intentionally kept the members unaware of what was supposed to be happening in the program for their own benefit. For example, the commercial officers did not educate our people or the members of the associations in order for them to benefit. You realize that some associations or circles received the money, but the members in the different associations did not realize that the money had come. Because some circles had lent out more than 16 million in addition to what they had received. But we realized that some circles, like the political leaders' circles, that received 50 million had only lent out about 3 million. Yet a circle that received 30 million had lent out 46 million. So it was intentional from some of the people that were given to lead the program. I beg to submit.
Museveni.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My name is Museveni. Right Honorable Speaker, I confine my concerns on 30% saving requirement. Right Honorable Speaker, this requirement is rendering this program useless. Just one person saves the 30% and takes all the money. And then all the members are bound to pay, yet they never took that money. We are just sitting on a time bomb. Anytime this program is going to be no more. Why this saving system? Others have gone to the money lenders. Money lenders, they lend money at 30%, 20%. Because they want money, they will just sign for it. And then when they get the Emyoga funds, they will just to switch it to the money lenders. And then they will not pay back. So I play, Right Honorable Speaker, I requested that the saving of 30% be scrapped off from the guidelines, Right Honorable Speaker. I submit.
Fadil?
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. My name is Twala Fadil, Member of Parliament for Tingei County, Kapchorwa. Madam Speaker, a Myoga program was initiated by His Excellency, a local person, to first save to a tune of 300,000 to access 900,000. Where does this 300 go? It means it is like what is given now is 600,000. So, Right Honorable Speaker, my prayer is, Madam Speaker, my prayer therefore is to relax the guidelines of saving first before accessing the money. In Kapchorwa, Tingei County, where I am, there are also associations that they have saved to a tune of 3 million shilling each, and there are 9. And the produce circle is given 30 million shilling, which if you have saved 3 million, it means you are in position to access 9 million shilling. How will then the other ones access? It means the 30 million only benefits only 3 associations. So, Madam Speaker, my prayer is they should really scrub off the saving system. Thank you.
Martin?
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I want to appreciate the initiative of Myoga program. Despite of its challenges, it has performed well in my area. Right Honourable Speaker, I want to bring out the challenges that my people are facing. One, there is a cluster that was left out. Those ones involved in brick making, that cluster was left out. Right Honourable Speaker, the cluster of produce is so much compressed in that there are so many groups in that cluster. Right Honourable Speaker, we realize that we need to create a voluntary board in the constituency to monitor the operations of the Myoga program. Right Honourable Speaker, we realize that there is no mobility for those involved in the exercise. The CDO, chairperson of constituency circles, they have no means of transport, yet they have to move from one group to the other, and also soliciting that money and also taking it. For instance, in our district, Kamuli, the bank that we are using is in Jinja, yet there is no provision for transport facility. Right Honourable Speaker, we also realize the challenge of political mobilization is lacking. We had a meeting with the chairpersons, and they were all claiming they were not involved in this exercise. So it is a challenge, Right Honourable Speaker. I thank you.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity. This is Hashim Suleiman. Right Honourable Speaker, first of all, I want to thank my colleagues from different regions for the good report on a Myoga program. I have some few observations from the report. One thing that I got on the ground when we went there, when we went for the operation, there is this issue of operational costs, especially to the commercial officers. I think to make the operational cost, because we cannot really put this money, all this amount of money on the ground without monitoring, without proper monitoring. For instance, in Nebi district, we received 1,090 million, but the monitoring is very poor. People are just using the money without commercial officers really taking it serious to monitor, and their claim is they don't have operational cost. And for continuation, maybe also I add my voice on the amount of the money. The amount of the money, 30 million, has really been so small. Maybe the minister could even furnish us today for this financial year when this circle is going to receive money in order to top up the 30 million that they have sent earlier. Then sensitization is very crucial. the masses are not really sensitized, and they know very little about the program. But when we went on the ground, I think people started understanding what Emyoga is all about. And for those who are understanding, they are now appreciating it. So I will also advocate that there should be room for more sensitization so that the people can really know. Thank you.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. For the record, once again, my name is Wanda Richard. I want to thank you for this opportunity. I want to go straight to the point as raised by Honorable Enos and the woman member of parliament for Kiruhura. Madam Speaker, the Emyoga program is good. However, there must have been consideration for the beneficiaries in terms of numbers. The produce dealers in my constituency have 85 associations in one Muoga. And that means their resource envelope is very small. I want to invite our honorable ministers that we must always look at also the criteria that will enable people benefit from a service. We are headed for parish model, for example. When we say that every parish shall get such and such an amount, I think it is right to also look at the composition or the number of people involved. Because I know parishes in this country which are larger than several sub-counties. So I invite the honorable minister to reconsider certain Emyoga groups in terms of their size, such that the amounts provided is more. And when we go to parish model, it is also my prayer, Madam Speaker, that we look at
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I'm called Choma Zavia. I represent Uganda North. Right Honorable Speaker, this program is a good initiative with good intention. It only lacked design. So it is a program with good intention but without design. And all these issues being mentioned here are all rotating around lack of design. It would be established why you should form new groups, yet you have existing groups that have actually lived a test of time. When you go on ground, you will find that out of a group that has been existing and doing well, some few members now formed another small group for the purpose of Emyoga. This is caused by lack of design at the initial stage. Honorable, through you, Right Honorable Speaker, I think the Honorable Minister needs to tell us what was wrong with the already existing circles. And I don't agree that we may need a new law, Madam Speaker, because we are aware that some circles have been receiving money from Microfinance Support Center. Rural Financial Services Program has been remitting funds. So what is important is simply to redesign, and my prayer, Right Honorable Speaker, is that better.
Sarah, David.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I'm Najuma Saraman, Member of Parliament, Nakaske District. Right Honorable Speaker, on the issues of Myoga, I'm wondering why the program is under RDC's office when we have accounting officers. We have the cows at district level. At town council, we have the town clerks. Then at sub-county level, we have the sub-county chiefs. When we were monitoring the program, the cows just knew that the Myoga exists, but they didn't know about the money, the groups that are benefiting. Really, the RDC, some RDCs are partisan. The program is not moving well because it is coordinated in RDC's office. And my worry is that at the end of it, this program is going to collapse. No one is making a follow-up. Honorable Speaker, I request the Honorable Minister to capture the issue of integrating the program into the local government structures. Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker.
Kavanda.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. My name is David Kavanda. I represent the people of Kasambia. Right Honorable Speaker, I also want to join my colleagues to thank His Excellency the President for this program. But as we discuss Emyoga, Right Honorable Speaker, there is another program which is coming, the parish model. It is also like this one. We have not seen any success in this program of Emyoga. For example, in my constituency, there are so many categories of these people, like the journalists. We don't have journalists, but they say this program. We don't have ponds. The fishermen are not in the villages.
Information.
But there is a circle, a leader's circle for fishermen, for journalists. I don't think there is any progress with this program. We need to go back and reorganize properly, Madam Speaker.
Actually, what Honorable Xavier said, at design level, we lost it. Whoever advised the president at design level misguided the president. Whereas the president had a good intention, the implementation now is a problem. Yes. Honorable Minister, whether you look at me or not, the truth is there is a problem that must be resolved. You people misled the president, and you're still going to mislead him on the parish model. You're saying Emyoga is doing very well, Emyoga is doing very well. Emyoga is not doing well. Not at all.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. This is my maiden speech. My name is Rachel Magola Bugweri.
By the way, for your information, even the government chief whip arrested somebody. So don't even convince him. He's here as a member of parliament. Rachel.
My name is Rachel Magola, Bugweri District Woman MP. This is my maiden speech. I just want to congratulate you on your getting this position as Speaker, and also congratulate all my colleagues on joining Parliament. The Myoga program, I disagree when some of our friends say that it's a total failure. In my constituency, there are some Myogas who are actually doing well. Like my colleague said, that systemic problems are the ones which are failing. We need to go back to the drawing table and figure out where is the biggest problem. In my opinion, the district circles cannot organize the associations at the parish level, because you can't get a tailor from one sub-county to be in the same circle with a tailor from another sub-county. They don't know each other. And the only way people can cooperate, the association has to be member-owned, member-used, and member-managed. So the fact that people are coming from all over, going into a circle, the top management are the ones who are taking all the advantages of the money that has come as a Myoga. I believe, like you've mentioned and guided, we need to go back to the drawing table and use the cooperative mentality to run the associations. If the money could go directly to associations, I think we'll benefit better than having the district-made circles. I beg to submit. Thank you.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. My name is Midias Natkunda, District Woman Representative for Rukunjiri. I want to join my colleagues to also appreciate this Emyoga program and also differ with them because I see some successes. One honorable member said that they should scrap off the saving of 30%. I disagree with you because we are here trying to say that our people need to be taught the saving culture. So I think this Emyoga program, we are trying to teach our people how to save. They must save if they are to invest. So I think this is one of the benefits of this Emyoga program. Then another thing, the challenge I found in my district is that the women entrepreneurs were left out, and up to now they haven't yet got anything. Normally the government usually considers women at the forefront of every project, but this Emyoga program, the women have been left out. We see the youth, the political leaders, they were given 50 million, and then they combined the women entrepreneurs, which forms, it has every aspect of Emyoga. The women are everywhere, and they get 30 million, and yet up to this time, the women entrepreneurs in my district haven't yet gotten anything. So I think when you're designing other projects like the parish model, please consider the women. I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Seko, Honorable Pendi, William.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Madam Speaker, we were excited when the country was told that they were supposed to benefit from a funding to help improve on the livelihoods of the people. However, Madam Speaker, the way they introduced the program, I think we must agree, was not fair. We have experts in the ministries, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Trade, and the whole of this country is aware that we are not at the same footing. Some of us, it's an open fact that represent regions that have been declared to be the poor regions in the country. So for you to bring money and give it a pari passu at the same level on that assumption, it means that there was no justice in as far as the assistance or the intention to uplift the livelihoods of the people was concerned. So I think, Madam Speaker, going forward, there is need to revisit and review the models and the amounts of money that were allocated to the different regions. Some regions, some areas, some constituencies are bigger. Some circles were already pre-existing. Some places didn't even have a village saving group. So it was very difficult that you assume that everybody was at the same footing, and then you put, because it became a bonanza in some places, while in other areas it was misery. Butebu district, for example.
Honorable Sarah, members, you see, the contribution that members are being told to give. What people do, they go and get money from money lenders. They contribute to the association. They are not, that is not saving. That's not building a savings culture. Now, when they put money in the association, the commercial officer just gives a certificate. But on top of the commercial officer, there is no control. Who else checks that the commercial that there are 30 members in that committee? I want to give you an example in my constituency, where a commercial officer gave out a certificate, and there were only 80 people in the association. Those 80 people belong to other almost 10 associations. It is a matter of getting 30 million from here. You go to other associations and put for you to get more money. At the end of the day, it is the few people who are very clever that get the money. And we are there drumming that the Myoga is doing well. It's not. Sarah.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Right Honorable Speaker, this Myoga program arose after the President had had a countrywide tour and realized that people needed capital in order to be able to engage in different businesses. Unfortunately, Right Honorable Speaker, the design of this whole entire Myoga program has proven to be too complex for the people down there who are supposed to benefit from this money. I met the various groups. And first of all, what was shocking, Right Honorable Speaker, is for the Microfinance Support Center to dictate the bank where these Myogas must bank their money. Yes, all the groups were in DFCU Bank. And what was surprising is that when I called them to tell them your money is in DFCU Bank, they had no idea. The money had been banked way back in April. Imagine I was meeting them.
Honorable Sarah, just a minute. Do we have shares in DFCU Bank as a country? Do we have shares? Why wouldn't you use Post Bank?
Information.
Okay. Or Centenary, which is a People's Bank. Yes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. So I informed these groups that from the list the CAO has given me, you have received the money. And they had no knowledge that they had ever opened an account in DFCU Bank. So when I told them to go, they went and they were told you can't access this money until we get a phone call from the commercial officer. So, Right Honorable Speaker, for me that is one anomaly. You can't force me to bank with the bank. First of all, the banks have different bank charges. And that's why some people go to Post Bank, some people go to Centenary, and other banks. Secondly, Right Honorable Speaker, the other issue was on the issue of the certificates. Much as groups had fulfilled whatever was required, it took them forever to get certificates from, I don't know whether it is the Ministry of Trade and Cooperatives which was supposed to issue these certificates. That was another challenge. But also, Right Honorable Speaker, the other bigger problem, when I met these groups, they told me, like one of the circles, they said this 30 million you're looking at, we have other circles behind. At the end of the day, if each one is supposed to borrow, because one group had 600 members, if each of the members was to borrow, they were supposed to get 50,000. So is this, can you do business with 50,000? Yes, you can if you want to do something big. But for those who are thinking big, this money was not going to be of use. Madam Speaker, there is the other challenge. We have a group of musicians. We are in a lockdown.
Information.
Please, 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 I have limited time. These people have no business. They are still in lockdown. The bars are closed, Right Honorable Speaker. And therefore, this was also another concern that they asked me, go and tell the President to open up so that we can use this money properly. Otherwise, tomorrow they will be arrested. You are borrowing money to use. You are being told to save, but your businesses are closed. So that's another challenge, Madam Speaker. So I want to end, Madam Speaker, by stating, for me, the money has already gone out. I was just calling one of the groups and they said the money has just, we are just going to access the money maybe tomorrow. They have not yet accessed. But Microfinance Support Center, you put money on the accounts of these people in April. It was only, Right Honorable Speaker, when you sent us to go, that these people now fidgeted to organize training programs. So, who was supposed to be a beneficiary?
Honorable Minister, don't you see I helped you? That's yes. Why the money is going. William?
So, Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you, but to also state that I think, Madam Speaker, we had issues with the Youth Livelihood Program. At the end of the day, it will be members of Parliament to be called to go and support these people when they are arrested tomorrow. Madam Speaker, let this program, whatever has been released, remain there, and we monitor, but let us halt further release until we have streamlined this whole entire Myoga thing. Thank you,
Members, we should agree in this House that we should not, government programs should not be given out before we streamline the processes. Before we know how Myoga has performed, before you members of parliament are involved. And the next program, if it fails, the blame should go on you, because you should get involved in the monitoring of all government programs. William, Faith. Switch on.
I want to thank the President. Good initiative. My colleagues who have talked about failure in design. I think the biggest problem is on the design. Myoga failed before it left Kampala. As I talk now, the entire Sabay region still have money in the account. Toi County has money in the account, 560. Queen County, the same thing. Soy County, the same thing. Tinge County, the same thing. I think those ones just use little money. So Myoga failed from design. So I want to entirely blame people who designed the thing. But I want to thank God that we are all here as members of parliament. And then when it comes to issues of fighting poverty, the government and the opposition should come together. Good enough, our government chief whip is a very good businessman. We are going to redesign this thing so that it fits the interests of our people. I propose, for example, my own constituency. I propose we get the 560 million in the account. We form one cooperative circle, actually one circle for the whole constituency. And then the associations come and borrow money direct from the circle in the constituency. So that management costs will be less and will be managed by, I take the information.
Faith.
Thank you.
Faith.
Right, Honorable Speaker. My name is Nakut Faith, one MP for Napak. The Karamoja report was not laid. My chairman is still in Karamoja running after criminals who are killing people and stealing cows. So I hope the report will be laid next week. I hope you will allow. From my findings, when I visited, the groups hadn't received any money yet. By the time of the visit, all the groups in Napak had not received money yet. And a number of groups were formed for purposes of accessing the money. They had never existed. We had the groups, fishmongers, fishermen without a fish, journalists without a radio station, without a newspaper where they're practicing. Yes, so many of the groups are targeting to receive the money. The other finding is that many people are not expecting this to be a loan. They think it is a government grant. So when I told them that you will be paying back this loan, they refused to believe. They don't expect government to be a lender of money. That is where the biggest problem is. Right, Honorable Speaker, there are things that have forced government to be a lender. It's not supposed to be our job as government to be a lender. But because we have failed to regulate the institutions that are supposed to regulate the lending, yes, the Microfinance Support Center and the Microfinance Regulatory Authority that is supposed to regulate the money lenders. We have left them on the loose. They can charge anything they can to our citizens. Many Ugandans are enslaved because of that area is not being regulated. When Bank of Uganda is charging 9%, they are charging 40%. Because of that, we are not even interested in solving that, and we are going
Christine.
Okay.
Christine.
My proposal, Right Honorable Speaker, is that
Christine.
we consider Myoga a loss.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I'm Christina Polot Kumi. A good government program with implementation gaps. Honorable Speaker, even the local government leaders were not given adequate time to prepare. and organize the beneficiaries. Madam Speaker, there is a need to engage Micro Support Center. Micro Support Center contributed to the failure of the districts. One of the issues that happened was that they even delayed to give the saving books. It took a long time before the associations could get the saving books. It is really a very big challenge. I want to thank my commercial officers because they tried. Madam Speaker, as I speak now, they have a saving of 970 million. But the prayer of the beneficiaries is that government helps them to have the repayment rescheduled because of the effect of drought and the lockdown, because they were not able to utilize the money that was given to them. Madam Speaker, thank you very much, because now the issues of theory and paperwork in offices is going to make us not achieve the objectives of government in terms of fighting poverty. So therefore, I don't need information now. Therefore, it is important that something is done in terms of promoting field work. That's when we shall be able to discover more. Madam Speaker, when I compare Myoga with the parish model, we have not yet started. But Madam Speaker, if you go down the ground right now, I don't think there's anybody who has not heard about the parish what? Model. So meaning that a lot should be spoken first about a government program before implementation is.
Right, Honourable Speaker, it is only very important that I give my MP information. This is my MP. Right, Honourable Speaker, I'm the MP for Kumi Municipality, for which is the woman MP for the district. That's why it's very important I give the information. We discovered that in Kumi, the people who are district commercial officers were not facilitated completely. They were struggling. How do they do the work without facilitation? This was a major concern. That is the information I wanted to give freely.
Mapendusi.
Thank you.
Mapendusi,